Chapter 26:17. Go to Hell. It was a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. The Iron-Blood Daoist did not hesitate and immediately activated the Phoenix Tribulation. The Phoenix Tribulation immediately rushed out of his hand and attacked the man. The terrifying power of the Divine Phoenix burst out from the Phoenix Tribulation. The glaring fire instantly lit up the world, as if a sun had suddenly appeared in the dark night. A powerful force shook the void of heaven and earth. Buzz. At that moment, the man's body suddenly vibrated. Then, a Bronze 8 trigram rushed out of his body and collided with the Phoenix Tribulation. Boom! With a loud bang, the Iron-Blood Daoist's Phoenix Tribulation was directly knocked away by the Bronze 8 trigram. The divine light emitted by the Phoenix Tribulation immediately dimmed. This is, above the clouds in the sky, Gu Fei was extremely shocked. He could sense a powerful divine aura from the Bronze 8 trigram. Who dares to plot against me? That person used the 8 trigrams to protect himself. When he looked around, he saw that there was a huge bump on his forehead from the thing that had smashed him. Divine Lord South Heaven. At that moment, Gu Fei walked out of the clouds. Before he came out, he had already opened his inner world and kept Yang and her daughter inside. He only took one step and came close to them. It's you. The man was shocked to see Gu Fei, but he quickly calmed down. He had the God Ancestor's divine weapon, so there was no need to be afraid of this guy. You finally showed up. Come and die. Divine Lord South Heaven said proudly and looked at Gu Fei disdainfully. Back then, he was extremely unwilling to accept his defeat, and he had always held a grudge against Gu Fei. Back then, Gu Fei had relied on the might of an extreme Dao Saint weapon to defeat him. But now, he also had an extreme Dao divine weapon in his hands, and his cultivation was higher than Gu Fei's. He could definitely kill this guy. How dare you betray me? Gu Fei was infuriated. He did not expect the South Heaven Supremacy to possess the ultimate artifact of the God Ancestor. It seemed like he had already used the power of the ultimate ancestral artifact to remove the seal on him. If that was not the case, even the South Heaven Divine Lord would not dare to betray Gu Fei. Humph, I have the supreme divine weapon of the God Ancestor. Why should I be afraid of you? Southern Heaven Hierarch said coldly. Master, this is the guy who destroyed the East Imperial City. At this moment, the Iron-Blood Daoist spoke. The East Imperial City was actually destroyed in your hands. When Gu Fei heard this, his face immediately darkened. It seemed like the undying demon child and Heavenly Emperor Ziyang had also betrayed him. So what if I destroyed it? What can you do to me? Supremacy South Heaven held the Bronze 8 trigrams in his hand and said in a scornful manner, Kill. Gu Fei let out a furious roar and charged at Supremacy South Heaven. A powerful aura immediately burst out from his body. His cultivation had reached a crucial moment, and he would soon break through to the Holy Master Realm. His current cultivation had surpassed the peak Great Sage Realm, and was infinitely close to the Holy Master Realm. An ancient cauldron flew out from Gu Fei's hand and enlarged, before slamming down on Supremacy South Heaven. You were the one who sneaked an attack on me. Supremacy South Heaven was enraged. At this moment, there was still a bump on his forehead. Buzz. The Bronze 8 trigrams vibrated and soared into the sky, unleashing the power of the 8 trigrams at the mountain and river cauldron. Boom. The mountain and river cauldron collided with the Bronze 8 trigrams, resulting in a loud explosion. A destructive force swept across the place, causing the ground to sink and the void to be torn into pitch-black cracks. Each crack was as huge as a mountain. The Iron-Blood Daoist protected himself with the Phoenix Tribulation and instantly retreated. The mountain and river cauldron was sent flying into the sky. It was no match for the Bronze 8 trigrams, which shocked Gu Fei. However, he soon realized that the deity inside the mountain and river cauldron was still in a deep sleep and had yet to awaken. However, the deity inside the supreme artifact refined by the God Ancestor had awakened. It was a complete ultimate God weapon. Qin Nan had no idea where the South Heaven Divine Supremacy had found the ultimate God weapon. At this moment, it was not the time for Gu Fei to investigate how the Supremacy South Heaven had obtained the supreme artifact. He waved his hand and retrieved the mountain and river cauldron. At the same time, he flipped his right hand and a brick-like object appeared in his hand. The bronze 8 trigrams flew out from the bronze 8 trigrams and instantly sealed the entire place. It attracted 8 forces of the heavens and earth, which were aimed at Gu Fei. Rumble. The void vibrated as the 8 trigrams flew toward Gu Fei. Wherever they passed, the void was directly annihilated. Everything was destroyed, leaving nothing behind. Gu Fei, today is the day you die. The Supremacy South Heaven said fiercely. He was still brooding over his defeat at the hands of Gu Fei. Today, he could finally vent his anger. It was a great humiliation for an ultimate god to be defeated by a little guy. However, the Supremacy South Heaven was very shrewd. He did not show any hostility toward Gu Fei all these years. "You're not qualified to kill me," Gu Fei shouted angrily. He directly waved the brick in his hand and smashed it forward. A divine light rushed out from the brick and broke the seal of the 8 trigrams, opening up a void passage. Without any hesitation, Gu Fei took a step forward and rushed out of the void passage, breaking free from the trap. "I'll smash you to death with the brick." Gu Fei directly slapped at the Supremacy South Heaven. The brick in his hand displayed a powerful force as it rushed out from his hand and instantly became enormous like a heavenly monument, slamming down at the Supremacy South Heaven. It was the 3-boundary monument, which could suppress a powerful demon in the Yellow Spring. It was definitely an item at the level of an extreme divine weapon. Rumble. Under the 3-boundary monument, the void was collapsing and being annihilated. The pitch-black cracks in the void extended into the distance, as if the entire world was about to be shattered. The power of heaven's wrath no longer existed. There was no longer any force in the world to restrain living beings above the sacred level, allowing Gu Fei to attack without any worries. What? The Supremacy South Heaven was extremely shocked. He had never seen Gu Fei using the sacred monument. He was caught off guard and could not recall the bronze 8 trigrams in time to protect himself. Bang! The South Heaven Supremacy was slapped down from the sky by the 3-boundary monument. His body exploded and turned into a mist of blood. A figure wrapped in a godly glow soared into the sky with the 8 trigrams and fled into the distance, escaping from the place. Trying to escape. Chapter 26:18. Gu Fei was unwilling to let the traitor escape when he failed to catch up to Ultimate God South Heaven. However, the bronze 8 trigram was indeed extraordinary. When Gu Fei was about to catch up to him, it shattered the rift and escaped. Could it really be an ultimate artifact refined by the ancestor god? Gu Fei stood in the sky and remained silent for a long time. He thought of many things, such as why Ultimate God South Heaven would obtain the ultimate artifact of the ancestor god, and what happened to Red Dragon and the others. He then returned to the ruins of the East Royal Palace a second time. "Greetings, Master." The Iron-Blood Daoist immediately rushed out and knelt before Gu Fei. He was so excited to see Gu Fei that he started to shed tears. "Get up. What exactly happened?" Gu Fei wore a stern expression. "Is the force that I've worked so hard to build going to be destroyed just like that?" Upon thinking of this, he became enraged and his eyes reddened. "Master, this is what happened. After you left, a man called Li Lingfeng came to the East Royal City one day. He claimed to be your eldest senior brother." The Iron-Blood Daoist told Gu Fei everything that had happened in detail. It turned out that Li Lingfeng had heard about Gu Fei when he returned to the Tenglong continent from the Kunlun ancestral star. Therefore, Li Lingfeng had come to the East region to meet his junior brother. However, before Gu Fei could meet him, he was targeted by Ultimate God South Heaven. Ultimate God South Heaven was a saint master of the divine path. He could immediately tell that Li Lingfeng was carrying the bronze 8 trigram, the ultimate artifact refined by the ancestor god. However, what happened in the end took everyone by surprise. Divine Highness South Heaven actually snatched the bronze 8 trigrams from Li Lingfeng. Furthermore, the bronze 8 trigram had automatically recognized Ultimate God South Heaven as its master. Li Lingfeng was injured by Ultimate God South Heaven and fled. No one knew if he was still alive or not. The South Heaven Divine being suddenly attacked. He wielded the ancestral god weapon and planned to destroy the City Lord's mansion of the East Royal City, killing all of Ji Yufei's disciples. However, it just so happened that the Red Dragon had invited the ageless demon child to the City Lord's mansion as a guest. At the crucial moment, the ageless demon child had summoned the Black Tortoise seal and fought against the South Heaven supremacy. Heavenly Monarch Purple Sun hurried over after hearing the news and joined forces with the unaging demon child to fight Supremacy South Heaven. However, Divine Highness South Heaven possessed an ancestral god weapon, thus he was extremely powerful. He ended up destroying the entire East Royal City after fighting against the unaging demon child. One must know that the unold demonic child's Black Tortoise seal was an emperor artifact that was on par with an ancestral divine artifact. While the unaging demon child and the South Heaven hierarch were fighting, the Iron-Blood Daoist brought the 13 great bandits and escaped from the East Royal City. Meanwhile, the unold demon child and Heavenly Monarch Ziyang were unable to suppress Hierarch South Heaven even after teaming up. In the end, both sides suffered heavy injuries. The unold demon child and Heavenly Monarch Ziyang had no choice but to bring the Red Dragon, Yarrow Yu, and the others to break the void and escape into the chaos. The rest of the experts from the other islands submitted to the South Heaven Divine Highness and swore their loyalty to him. The factions of the ocean that initially stood a chance against the Dongfang clan and the primordial Zhao clan ended up suffering great losses. The primordial Zhao clan and the Dongfang clan decided to watch the battle from the sidelines. It was a good thing for the primordial Zhao clan and the Dongfang clan that had an internal conflict in Ji Yufei's camp. This is ridiculous. Ji Yufei's eyes reddened after hearing the details of the matter. He clenched his fists tightly as blue veins popped out on his forehead. That traitor, Hierarch South Heaven, deserved to die. It seems like Hierarch South Heaven was the one behind the chaos in the Falling Stars continent. Ji Yufei recalled many things. The rebellion of the Kuan Peng tribe must have been instigated by someone behind the scenes. He even suspected that one of the 3 sacred supremacies of the ocean was behind it. Now that he thought about it, the culprit behind the chaos was most likely Hierarch South Heaven. First Senior Brother has obtained the succession of the God Path. The ancestral god weapon should be serving him as its master. How could Hierarch South Heaven take it away? Master, that person is really your first Senior Brother. The Iron-Blood Daoist blurted out in astonishment. He had no idea that Ji Yufei had a first Senior Brother, and that the first Senior Brother was only a sacred sage. There's no doubt about it. No one would dare to pretend to be Ji Yufei's first Senior Brother. Ji Yufei said with a stern expression. On the other hand, Li Lingfeng was unlucky to have stumbled into Hierarch South Heaven. Not only did Hierarch South Heaven steal his ancestral god weapon, he was almost killed by Hierarch South Heaven too. Even though Hierarch South Heaven did not kill him on the spot, his fate was still uncertain. Master, what should we do now? When the Iron-Blood Daoist saw Ji Yufei, it was like a person lost in the darkness seeing a beacon of light. He saw hope in the darkness. Since he dared to betray me, Ji Yufei, then Hierarch South Heaven should know what will happen to him. Ji Yufei said with hatred. His gaze sharpened as a chilling murderous intent burst out from his body. The temperature of the surroundings dropped rapidly due to the murderous intent. Master, when should we make our move? The Iron-Blood Daoist blurted out in excitement. He had been living a miserable life recently. He had been hiding from the Supremacy South Heaven with the 13 great bandits. Apart from Zhu Galiang, the rest of the 13 bandits had died in battle. Ji Yufei found it hard to accept such an outcome. The 13 bandits were all experts with limitless potential. If there were no accidents, they would have a chance of becoming sacred sages. Do you know where they are? Ji Yufei glanced at the Iron-Blood Daoist and said. Of course I do. How could I not know? Hierarch South Heaven destroyed the East Royal City. His base is now in the 2nd city of the Eastern region. The Iron-Blood Daoist immediately said. Very well. Ji Yufei did not say anything further. He took a step forward and instantly disappeared into the rift. This. Is Master planning to attack the 2nd city now? The East Royal City had been destroyed in the battle. Countless living beings in the city had been affected. Only the experts had managed to escape, while countless mortals had died. Although the overseas factions had suffered great losses, many of their experts had managed to survive. The experts that had submitted to Hierarch South Heaven were currently gathered in the second city. Jiyu Fei unleashed his 8 steps extreme speed. He soon arrived outside the second city and stood in the sky. Great, this is great, they're all here. Jiyu Fei could sense countless powerful auras bursting out from the second city. Some of them were extraordinarily powerful, soaring into the sky. That being said, only Jiyu Fei was able to see the powerful auras. Ordinary people would not be able to see them. Meanwhile, Hierarch South Heaven had already returned to the second city. Even though Hierarch South Heaven's flesh had been destroyed by Jiyu Fei's 3-boundary monument, it was not difficult for him to reconstruct his flesh after reaching his current cultivation. Meanwhile, Hierarch South Heaven was sitting in the City Lord's mansion in the second city. 8 trigrams were circling around him, each emitting a powerful aura similar to an ancestral god weapon. He had just reconstructed his body with the power of the ancestral god weapon, which seemed to be a lot stronger than his original body. At that instant, an illusionary figure appeared in front of Hierarch South Heaven. "Are you going too far?" The faint and incorporeal figure emitted such a fluctuation of divine will. "Humph, the strong prey on the weak, the strong rule. That's the rule of the heavens and earth. How am I going too far?" Hierarch South Heaven said coldly. He did not think it was a big deal. In his opinion, it was common for the strong to control the life and death of the weak in the cultivation world. That man is Master's successor after all. You shouldn't have done anything to him. The figure said. "Successor? I'll be enough as his successor." Hierarch South Heaven said. "Sigh." The illusionary figure let out a sigh and dissipated into the rift without saying anything else. Boom. At that instant, a loud explosion came from the outside, followed by a powerful energy wave, causing the place where Hierarch South Heaven was standing to tremble. What's going on? Hierarch South Heaven was dumbfounded. Someone dared to attack him. How reckless. Rumble. Following this, a shocking sound could be heard, causing the entire City Lord's mansion to tremble. Following this, a roar could be heard in the second city. "South Heaven, come out and die." A loud roar could be heard coming from the sky above the second city. What? Inside the City Lord's mansion, Hierarch South Heaven was shocked when he heard the voice. Jiyu Fei has arrived so quickly. Hierarch South Heaven wore an expression of disbelief. He walked out from the City Lord's mansion and raised his head. He saw a young man in a black robe standing in the sky above the second city. Who else could it be but Jiyu Fei? It's its master. When the overseas experts in the city saw the figure in the sky, they were all shocked to the extreme. Everyone was dumbfounded by Jiyu Fei's appearance. At the same time, they were feeling uneasy, as they had initially pledged their loyalty to Jiyu Fei, but they had now submitted to Hierarch South Heaven instead. Jiyu Fei, Hierarch South Heaven stared at the figure in the sky with mixed feelings. If it weren't for the ancestral god weapon, his life would always be in someone else's hands. After obtaining the ancestral god weapon, he had immediately used its power to break the forbidding aura that Jiyu Fei had left on him. If it weren't for breaking Jiyu Fei's forbidding aura, Hierarch South Heaven would never dare to betray Jiyu Fei no matter how strong he was, even if he had obtained the ancestral god weapon. Kill. Jiyu Fei did not hesitate. He immediately executed the heaven-shrouding hand. A giant hand of chaos immediately appeared in the sky above the second city, shrouding the entire city. A terrifying destructive force was unleashed from the giant hand. The flesh of some of the weaker cultivators had already exploded. The energy wave from the sky was too powerful, to the extent that ordinary cultivators could not withstand it. Jiyu Fei had no intention of letting anyone in the city go. He was planning to destroy the city with a wave of his hand. Buzz. Chapter 26:19. Rumble. The chaotic giant hand slammed down from the sky. An extremely powerful force crushed the void of the heavens and earth, displaying its ultimate power. Jiyu Fei had arrived at the second city of the eastern region and immediately performed the heaven-shrouding palm. The chaotic giant hand shrouded the entire heavens and earth, and its terrifying force sealed off all directions. Even someone as powerful as a sage would find it difficult to escape from the second city at this moment. It's Jiyu Fei, his back. The sages in the second city were utterly shocked. They were well aware of how powerful Jiyu Fei was, and they were afraid that they had chosen the wrong side this time. Mr. Wu, who had once called the unaging demon child brother, had a terrible look on his face. After all, he had just hunted down the Iron Blood Daoist and killed a few of the 13 bandits a few days ago. It could be said that he could no longer turn back. Buzz. At that moment, the void vibrated, and a ball of divine light appeared in the sky above the second city, enshrouding the entire second city. The city defense formation had been activated, and a powerful force spread across the place. However, the city defense formation of the second city was completely useless against the chaotic giant hand. The layer of divine light was instantly shattered by the chaotic giant hand, and countless runes dissipated into the void. Activate the formation, we're escaping to the ocean. Someone yelled out. That's right. Mr. Wu and the others immediately came to their senses and rushed toward the city lord's mansion. The chaotic giant hand directly broke through the city defense formation of the second city and descended upon the city. The destructive force from the chaotic giant hand caused all the cultivators in the city to feel despair. At that moment, the force of the heavenly wrath had completely disappeared. There was no need for Jiyu Fei to seal his cultivation base and combat strength that surpassed the great sage realm. In the entire second city, only the South Heaven Supreme God was a match for Jiyu Fei. The others could not even withstand a single attack from Jiyu Fei, let alone fight against Jiyu Fei. Since you've chosen to betray me, you can't blame me for what happens next. Jiyu Fei's voice came down from the sky and reached the ears of every cultivator in the second city. His voice was not loud, but it was filled with authority. The chaotic hand continued to descend. The entire second city started to shake. The buildings in the city started to crack and collapse. The entire second city started to show signs of collapsing. Master, I was wrong, please spare my life. Someone screamed in horror. Someone immediately knelt on the ground and kowtowed towards the sky. His forehead was stained with blood. In the face of death, nothing else mattered. Dignity, face. All of that was tossed to the highest heavens. Every cultivator in the city only had one goal, and that was to survive. Too late. Jiyu Fei did not relent. The chaos palm slammed down, wanting to destroy the entire second city. Buzz. At this moment, a ball of dazzling divine light burst out from the City Lord Manor. A formation platform shone with billions of divine light, as if a sun had appeared in the second city. Someone had activated the formation platform that could travel between the eastern region and the outer seas. At the same time, 8 trigrams rushed out from the City Lord Manor and headed straight for the sky. The supreme power of the godly Tao was unleashed. Under everyone's extremely shocked gazes, the 8 trigrams displayed unimaginable power. They actually froze the void in the world and blocked the giant chaotic hand that was slapping down from the sky. Southern Heaven, come out and face your death. Jiyu Fei retracted the chaotic hand. He held the mountain and river cauldron in his right hand and the 3-boundary monument in his left hand before descending from the sky. Humph, I was just being careless. Do you really think you're invincible? Hierarch South Heaven soared into the sky from the City Lord's mansion. The 8 trigrams then flew back to him and circled around him. This time, he did not dare to be careless. He held the bronze trigrams in his hand and used the power of the trigrams to protect himself. At this moment, everyone in the second city was looking at the 2 figures in the sky. Every cultivator in the city hoped that the Southern Heaven Supremacy could defeat Jiyu Fei. This was because they would only be able to survive if the Southern Heaven Supremacy defeated Jiyu Fei. However, not everyone was optimistic about the Southern Heaven Supremacy's chances. One should know that Jiyu Fei's cultivation was close to the Holy Venerate realm, and he also had an extreme Tao sacred weapon. Trying to escape. Who can escape without my permission? Jiyu Fei was enraged when he saw the formation platform that he had painstakingly refined being activated by Mr. Wu and the others in the City Lord Manor. Swoosh! With a thought from Jiyu Fei, a purple-golden divine light immediately rushed out from his body and turned into a godly sword. It descended from the sky and stabbed into the formation platform. The divine light of the formation platform immediately dissipated and dimmed. The countless runes that appeared on the formation platform were directly suppressed by the godly sword. What, in front of the formation platform, Mr. Wu and the other overseas sages were dumbfounded after seeing this. A purple-golden godly sword was stabbed into the formation platform. An icy sword chi was emitted from the sword. The ripples of the sword chi caused Mr. Wu and the other sages to feel their hearts palpitating. Extreme Tao Sacred Sword, Mr. Wu and the rest of the sages were stunned. This Jiyu Fei actually had so many Extreme Tao Sacred weapons on him. Was he trying to kill them? Mr. Wu and the others were infuriated. I didn't expect you to have so many Extreme Tao Sacred weapons. Even the Southern Heaven Supremacy was extremely shocked. One should know that Extreme Tao Sacred weapons were rarely seen in the current era. The appearance of one Extreme Tao Sacred weapon was enough to shock the entire cultivation world. However, Jiyu Fei had managed to acquire 3 extreme sacred weapons. How could the South Heaven Divine Lord not feel envious and jealous? Humph! Jiyu Fei did not say anything else. He immediately attacked the Southern Heaven Supremacy. The mountain and river cauldron in his right hand flew into the air and instantly enlarged. It was like an ancient godly mountain that pressed down on the Southern Heaven Supremacy. Although the god inside the mountain and river cauldron was in a deep slumber, the mountain and river cauldron still displayed a powerful force that could suppress the heavens and earth. The Southern Heaven Supremacy sensed a great threat. He immediately activated the power of the 8 trigrams and broke through the void sealed by the mountain and river cauldron. At the moment when the Southern Heaven Supremacy charged out, a brick slammed down from the sky and landed directly on the 8 trigrams that were protecting him. Bang! The 2 extreme Tao forces collided with each other, resulting in a terrifying outcome. A large area of the void was instantly destroyed. The powerful shockwave directly turned half of the second city into ashes, killing countless cultivators. Chapter 2620. Jiyu Fei showed no hesitation. He immediately unleashed his full strength, as all the cultivators in the second city were traitors. Their deaths were not to be regretted. Jiyu Fei was using the 3-boundary boulder like a brick, sending Supremacy South Heaven flying with a single brick. This time, the Hierarch South Heaven had learned his lesson. He blocked the attack with his ancestral god weapon. Even though he was knocked flying, his flesh did not suffer any damage. The 8 trigrams shuddered and nullified the power of the 3-boundary monument. As a matter of fact, there were gods inside the 3-boundary monument too, but they were in a deep slumber without showing any signs of awakening. Otherwise, it was impossible for the Hierarch South Heaven to be injured. It was extremely difficult to awaken the sleeping gods inside the Extreme Tao Sacred weapon. Normally, one would have to wake them up on their own. Haha, so there's something wrong with the Extreme Tao Sacred weapon in your hand. The Hierarch South Heaven burst out laughing all of a sudden. He sharply sensed the strangeness of the Extreme Tao Sacred weapon in Jiyu Fei's hand. The god inside the Extreme Tao Sacred weapon had yet to awaken. Although he had no idea why the god inside Jiyu Fei's Extreme Tao Sacred weapon would fall into a deep slumber, it was definitely good news for him. Humph! Jiyu Fei did not say a word. He immediately recalled the mountain and river cauldron and the 3-boundary monument, before continuing to attack the Hierarch South Heaven with a tremendous battle intent. I'm impressed by your courage. You still dare to come here even though there's something wrong with the Extreme Tao Sacred weapon. The Hierarch South Heaven let out a hollow laugh and charged at Jiyu Fei. The 8 trigrams gathered in his hand and turned into a bronze trigram. As he waved it, it felt like the heavens and earth were on the verge of collapsing. The 8 trigrams merged into one above the bronze 8 trigrams, transforming into a terrifying and monstrous force that pierced towards Jiyu Fei. Collect! Jiyu Fei flipped the mountain and river cauldron upside down and slapped it. A force capable of devouring the heavens burst out from the mouth of the mountain and river cauldron. Without any hesitation, the destructive force from the bronze trigram was devoured by the mountain and river cauldron. This The hierarch South Heaven did not expect the force of the bronze trigram to be devoured by the mountain and river cauldron. "Have a taste of my brick." Gu Fei uttered a roar as the three-boundary monument in his hand flew forward once again, aiming at the South Heaven Supremacy's head. Bang! Supremacy South Heaven was greatly shocked. He immediately raised the bronze trigram in his hand and blocked the three-boundary monument's attack without hesitation. He felt a strong force coming from the three-boundary stele, and his entire body was sent flying by the three-boundary stele. His arms felt numb. Although Supremacy South Heaven was sent flying by Gu Fei, he was not injured at all. However, the cultivators in the second city who were lucky enough to survive fell into despair upon seeing this. They assumed that the South Heaven divine-honored god was going to lose. Some of them began to flee. A figure dashed out from the half-destroyed second city. However, the cultivator had just charged out of the second city when he was killed by a slash of sword light from the side. His body and soul were both destroyed. What? The cultivators in the city were shocked to see this. "We'll die if we stay, but we'll also die if we run. Brothers, what are you waiting for? Let's run together." Someone suddenly yelled in a frenzy. "That's right, let's run together. I don't believe he can stop everyone." Someone yelled. Many people couldn't help being tempted. Although Gu Fei was powerful, he couldn't stop everyone. This was a chance for them to escape. Whoosh! Figures flickered and soon made their move. More than 10 figures dashed out from the half-destroyed second city like phantoms and fled in all directions. Buzz! At this moment, the purple-gold divine sword stuck in the formation platform vibrated. A dozen or so sword lights immediately rushed out from the purple-gold divine sword, directly killing the dozen or so cultivators. The cultivators were terrified. No one could escape. Gu Fei was not bluffing. It seemed like the god inside the purple-golden godly sword was not sleeping. "Are we going to wait for our deaths here?" The cultivators in the second city were in despair. "Humph, this is what you deserve for betraying the master." In the sky, the Iron-Blood Daoist felt extremely relieved after seeing this. He and the 13 great bandits had been living in fear for the past few days, as they were constantly being hunted down. Among the 13 great bandits, only Zhuge Liang had survived. The others had all died in battle. The Iron-Blood Daoist was infuriated upon having this thought. He had the urge to kill every cultivator in the second city to avenge the 13 great bandits. Bang! Suddenly, the heavens and earth trembled. Gu Fei and the ultimate god of Southern Heaven were locked in a fierce battle. The ultimate god of Southern Heaven finally managed to turn the tables and unleashed the strongest power of the Bronze 8 trigrams. The 8 trigrams circled the ultimate god of Southern Heaven's figure, activating the power of the 8 extremities. Each extremity was strong enough to destroy the heavens and earth. Gu Fei was knocked backward by the power of the ancestral god weapon. Nice! Gu Fei was astounded. The god's will inside the Bronze 8 trigrams was awakening. The ancestral god weapon was finally showing its true power. It was definitely not a good thing for him. Even though the god's will inside the purple-golden godly sword was not completely asleep, it could not be used as it had to suppress the cultivators in the second city. Did he really have to use the peerless savage saber? Kill. Supremacy South Heaven fearlessly charged at Gu Fei with the ancestral god weapon in his hand. A powerful force burst out from his body, causing the rift to crack open and form pitch-black cracks. Bang! The 8 trigrams rotated and knocked the mountains and rivers away. Gu Fei quickly backed away. Gu Fei, to think you'd have such a day. The ultimate god of Southern Heaven chased after him with a hollow laugh. Gu Fei executed the 8 desolation steps and displayed his speed. It was not easy for the ultimate god of Southern Heaven to catch up to him. Gu Fei, fight me to the death if you dare. What's the point of hiding like this? The ultimate god of Southern Heaven yelled. He was trying to provoke Qin Nan. However, Gu Fei did not fall for it. He remained calm and ignored the ultimate god of Southern Heaven's insults. He had no intention of fighting the ultimate god of Southern Heaven head-on. How dare you? The ultimate god of Southern Heaven was infuriated. With a thought, The 8 trigrams flew into the air. Each of them emitted a brilliant glow. Seal. The ultimate god of southern heaven executed his god art. The 8 trigrams flew into the surroundings and vanished into the rift, sealing off the rift and sealing Gu Fei inside it. Let's see how you're going to escape this time. Chapter 26-21. 8 divinatory runes sealed the area. Like an ancestral god, ultimate god southern heaven displayed his strongest combat strength. Buzz. The sky trembled as 9 god halos appeared on divine monarch south heaven's body. Each of the god halos turned into a brilliant sword glow in an instant. 9 godly swords appeared around the south heaven supremacy. Kill. With a wave of his hand, the 9 sword glows circling him immediately pierced at Gu Fei. The sword intent soared into the sky, as if each of the sword glows was capable of destroying the heavens and earth. Humph. Gu Fei sneered. Chaotic divine light surged on his hands. He swung his fist and smashed it at the divine swords that had pierced through him, shattering all 9 sword lights. He was extremely powerful. With the mountain and river cauldron protecting him, he charged towards ultimate god southern heaven. Who do you think you are to fight against me? Ultimate god southern heaven said coldly. Immediately after, a shadow walked out from the void. It was as if a supreme god ancestor had descended, with an extremely terrifying divine Tao aura. Kill him. The South Heaven hierarch ordered the figure. This is, Gu Fei was taken aback. The aura of the extreme Tao was so mighty that it made him feel extremely terrified. Even though he had broken through to the greater mastery great sage realm, he still could not withstand the aura. If it wasn't for the mountain and river cauldron's protection, Gu Fei's body would have exploded and his soul would have been destroyed. It was a blurry figure with a blurry face. However, it was too powerful. Just by standing there, it felt like the entire world was about to be destroyed. Humph. Although Gu Fei felt a great pressure, he still smiled. Buzz. At that moment, the mountain and river cauldron floating above Gu Fei's head suddenly vibrated. An extreme Tao aura was awakened from within the mountain and river cauldron. What? Sensing the extreme Tao aura, ultimate god southern heaven was stunned. T ultimate god southern heaven's expression changed as if he recalled something. At the same time, the purple gold divine sword in the second city's governor's mansion released a terrifying wave of sword chi. A faint, unsubstantial figure appeared on the divine sword. Boom. At this time, the mountain and river cauldron emitted a supreme aura. All living beings in the eastern region, even the entire Tenglong continent, felt this aura and were all terrified. What happened? A few incomparably powerful divine wills appeared between heaven and earth, probing towards the eastern domain. Some of the supreme experts of the human realm were alarmed. It's the eastern region again. Could it be that those people dare to start a war? A dissatisfied voice rang out in a place filled with chilly winds and ghostly chi. A figure directly emerged from the divine hall in the sky before shattering space and disappearing from the region. The aura of extreme Tao. In the extreme northern demon region, a figure sitting atop a yin-yang Tao diagram suddenly opened his eyes. Beneath the yin-yang Tao diagram was an incomparably massive demon lair. Within this demon lair, demons danced about, and from time to time, incomparably powerful demonic phantoms would appear. In the depths of the demon lair, heart-palpitating demonic howls could be heard. In the depths of the abyss of immortals and demons, a terrifying aura could be heard. In the extreme west of West Earth, a terrifying existence was roaring. Several forbidden areas and danger zones of the Tenglong continent were no longer quiet. In the depths of the Dongfang clan's ancestral grounds, a figure sitting cross-legged in a valley suddenly opened his eyes. The entire valley seemed to flash with 2 lightning bolts. Buzz. A long sword stabbed into the ground in front of this person suddenly vibrated, as if it was about to fly away. Extreme Tao struggle. Who's using the extreme Tao saint weapon? The mysterious person wearing a bronze mask said. She stretched out her hand and pressed on the divine sword in front of her. However, the divine sword was still vibrating. Let's go and take a look. The Eastern Sky Tyrant King stood up and pulled out the divine sword. He soared into the sky and instantly disappeared from the sky. Old ancestor, The two elders of the Dongfang clan who were guarding outside the valley couldn't help but be shocked when they saw a divine light shooting into the sky from the valley and disappearing in an instant. At this moment, in the sky above the second city of the eastern region, Ji Yufei and Hierarch South Heaven were still facing each other. No one dared to act rashly. The god in the mountain and river cauldron was originally sleeping, but the extreme divine might emitted from the ancestral divine weapon had awakened the god in the mountain and river cauldron. At this moment, not only was the god in the mountain and river cauldron awakened, but the gods in the violet gold divine sword, the three boundaries monument, and the peerless ominous blade were also alarmed. Roar! A dragon's roar rang out from Ji Yufei's body. Then, a black dragon soared into the sky from his body and became incomparably huge. A terrifying dragon's might erupted from the gigantic body, intimidating the 9 heavens and 10 earths. A peerless ominous aura filled every inch of the void between heaven and earth. Buzz! The void trembled as the three boundaries monument floated in the sky. A blue figure was sitting on top of it. It was a figure with his back facing the world, giving off an aura of endless vicissitudes. Outrageous, who dares disturb my sleep? Come and accept your death. A little old man jumped out from the mountain and river cauldron and cursed. The 4 supreme sacred weapons have been awakened. Divine Highness South Heaven felt his head swelling seeing this. His voice began to tremble as the 4 powerful auras suppressed him to the point where he could barely breathe. If it wasn't for the protection of the ancestral divine weapon, he would have died long ago. Even a saint venerable would not be able to withstand the aura of a supremacy. Every living being seemed minuscule before the aura of a supremacy. Kid, what's going on? I can sense the aura of an ancestral god. The little old man in the mountain and river cauldron suddenly said. The ancestral god was a divine Tao supremacy that came from the ancestral planet of Kunlun. His cultivation was world-shaking, comparable to supremacies like the supreme Tao ancestor. It's you. The little old man saw the blurry figure in front of him. Descendant of the god ancestor, I didn't expect to see the bloodline of an old friend here. The black dragon circling high in the sky suddenly spoke. What? Ji Yufei was shocked. This Hierarch South Heaven was actually a descendant of the god ancestor. No wonder the ancestral divine weapon was snatched away by Hierarch South Heaven. So this was the reason. This Hierarch South Heaven was most likely the son of the ancestor god. Otherwise, the ancestral divine weapon would not have recognized him as its master so easily. The son of the ancestor god. On the ground, in the half-destroyed second city, a purple figure stood on an array platform. The figure was blurry, and no one could see his face clearly. How lively! At this moment, the East Sky Tyrant Queen had already arrived nearby. She did not approach, but stopped in the sky and watched from afar. Just as the East Sky Tyrant Queen arrived, a white-robed man appeared silently in the sky from another direction. He was also watching. He's here too. The East Sky Tyrant Queen's heart skipped a beat when she saw that person. Ji Yufei also sensed the arrival of a peerless expert, but now that the gods of the 4 extreme Tao Saint weapons had awakened from their slumber, he was fearless. Kill him for me. Ji Yufei pointed at Hierarch South Heaven and ordered the gods of the 4 extreme Tao Saint weapons. If we kill this guy, I'm afraid we'll be involved with the ancestor god. The little old man said hesitantly. It was definitely not a good thing to be involved with the ancestor god. He knew some secrets of the world, and that kind of existence would most likely return one day. When that time came, there would be great trouble. There's actually something you're afraid of in this world. Ji Yufei looked at the little old man and said in surprise. So be it. Who cares about it? At that moment, the black dragon descended from the sky and charged at Supremacy South Heaven. A giant dragon claw swiped at Supremacy South Heaven. The figure in front of Hierarch South Heaven moved and threw a punch upwards. This punch was imbued with the power of the 8 trigrams. 8 different powers intertwined and turned into an extremely terrifying force that penetrated the world. Boom! The dragon claw and the fist collided, causing a loud explosion. The extremely terrifying power spread out, annihilating the void, and even the chaotic energy was blown out. Suppress. The god of the mountain and river cauldron let out a loud roar and sealed the entire world, displaying a supreme divine might that could suppress the 9 heavens and 10 earths. The destructive force that spread out was immediately stopped. Otherwise, if this force was allowed to spread out, the entire eastern region would be destroyed and countless living beings would be killed. This was a scene that no one wanted to see. It was a battle between 2 ultimate godly weapons. The black dragon uttered a roar into the sky and turned into a peerless saber. It slashed down from the sky with a ferocious aura. Whoosh! The god of the ancestral god weapon tore the rift apart and grabbed Hierarch South Heaven before dashing into the chaos. Trying to escape. The little old man was shocked. He tried to stop the ancestral god weapon, but he was too late. The ancestral god weapon had saved Hierarch South Heaven, something that no one had expected. Bam! At that instant, the 3-boundary monument moved. A godly ray burst out from it, shattering the rift and shining into the chaos. That's, Gu Fei saw Hierarch South Heaven and the ancestral god weapon moving rapidly in the chaos. Boom! The mountain and river cauldron attacked. The powerful force broke through the layers of chaotic aura and knocked Hierarch South Heaven and the ancestral god weapon flying. The divine light emitted by the 3-boundary monument continued to shine into the chaotic void, trying to find supremacy South Heaven. However, the ancestral god weapon seemed to be aware of it. It dashed deep into the chaos with Hierarch South Heaven. The peerless saber could not care less. It tore the rift apart and charged into the chaos. Its ferocious aura dispersed the surrounding chaotic aura. Sigh. The little old man from the mountain and river cauldron let out a sigh. He too took a step forward and entered the chaos. Chapter 26-22. The gods of the 4 supreme sacred weapons had awakened, and the aura of the supreme path filled the entire world. The soaring dragon ancestral star, and even the entire soaring dragon star field, was shrouded by the aura of the supreme path. This was the power and terror of the supreme path. The 4 gods had already restrained themselves. Otherwise, the aura of the supreme path would have directly shrouded the entire human realm. At this time, the mountain and river cauldron and the ominous saber had joined forces to force Hierarch South Heaven and the ancestral god weapon out from the depths of the chaos. Rumble, the ominous saber emitted an unparalleled ferocious aura, causing the entire void of chaos to tremble violently. The black dragon's body was tens of thousands of miles long. A dragon claw that was larger than a mountain reached out from the chaos. An extremely ferocious aura erupted from the black dragon, causing all living beings in the world to feel terrified. Preposterous! Hierarch South Heaven roared. One wrong move and the whole game was lost. He shouldn't have let the gods of the ancestral god weapon make a move. Now, all 4 of the opponent's supreme sacred weapons had awakened. This was equivalent to the 4 supremes coming together. How could he fight them? At this time, Hierarch South Heaven even had the thought of dying. Fortunately, the purple gold divine sword was on the ground and didn't attack the ancestral god weapon. The 3-boundary monument didn't seem to have any intention of attacking either. However, even if he was only facing the mountain and river cauldron and the ominous saber, he was already in serious trouble. At this time, the Eastern Sky Tyrant King who was watching this scene from afar was also terrified. This Gu Fei was really terrifying. He actually had 4 supreme sacred weapons. This was simply unimaginable. One should know that supreme sacred weapons were rarely seen in the human realm. For millions of years, not even one had appeared. However, now, 4 supreme sacred weapons had appeared in the hands of one person at the same time. Could it be that this person was blessed with great luck? Otherwise, how could he have so many supreme sacred weapons? In another direction, Ghost Emperor Fengju was also watching all this with a solemn expression. The foundation that Gu Fei had displayed had also surprised him. Moreover, this little guy's cultivation seemed to have broken through the great sage great mastery realm, but he hadn't truly entered the saint venerable realm. One person stirring up chaos in the world. Is he the one that Big Brother is talking about? Ghost Emperor Fengju muttered to himself. His gaze became deep, and he seemed to see that figure that was even taller than the primordial divine mountain. There wasn't a single ancient supreme being who didn't use great divine abilities to predict the past and the future. Every single supreme being would leave behind some prophecies, and some things had already come true. However, the big brother of Ghost Emperor Fengju only said one sentence: one person stirred up chaos in the world. At this time, the 4 divine tools of the supreme path had been revived at the same time. The impact of this was absolutely unimaginable. The entire mortal world was about to become restless. Nantian, how can you fight against me? At this moment, Ji Yufei stepped on the cauldron of mountain and river and rushed into the chaos. Little brat, why are you here? The little old man rushed over. With a wave of his hand, he brought the mountain and river cauldron over and held it in his hand. Old man, you block that ancestral god weapon. I want to fight this traitor alone. Ji Yufei's battle intent surged as he fixed his eyes on the South Heaven divine god. That's easy. The little old man had clearly refined the ultimate dragon essence that he had obtained from the divine palace at the bottom of the divine sea. Otherwise, how could he be confident that he could deal with the ancestral god weapon? Buzz. The mountain and river cauldron in the little old man's hand let out a buzzing sound. Then, 9 streams of primordial chaos chi rushed out from the cauldron and turned into 9 divine chains of the great path that wrapped around the ancestral god weapon. The ancestral god weapon seemed to have sensed a great threat. It did not dare to be careless. 8 trigrams appeared around the blurry figure, attracting the power of 8 powerful great paths rumble. The 8 trigram patterns transformed into a supreme divine Tao brand that sealed the space around them, blocking the 9 chaotic primordial divine chains that were hurtling towards them. Roar. At the same time, the black dragon in the sky also made its move. It let out a long roar, causing the surging primordial chaos chi to scatter. The black dragon swooped down from the sky and turned into a peerless black divine saber, slashing at the void sealed by the 8 trigrams. Swoosh. With a soft sound, the space sealed by the 8 divinatory diagrams was directly cut open by the pitilessly fierce saber. A figure rushed out from the opening. An extremely powerful divine light wrapped around the figure and sent it into the deepest part of the primordial chaos. Little guy, go! The little old man waved his hand and a mass of primordial chaos chi instantly wrapped around Ji Yufei and brought him in the direction where the divine light had disappeared. Ji Yufei could not help but rush into the deepest part of the primordial chaos. I didn't think you would really dare to chase after me. A cold voice was heard. A figure walked out from the primordial chaos chi. This person was Divine Lord South Heaven, who had entered the deepest part of the primordial chaos first. Mph, I didn't expect you to be the son of the ancestral god. The layer of primordial chaos divine light around Ji Yufei dissipated. He walked out and regained his freedom. There are many things that you can't imagine. Divine Lord South Heaven said. Meanwhile, the little old man in the mountain river cauldron had already started fighting with the ancestral god weapon. The peerless saber had backed off and did not really join forces with the mountain river cauldron against the ancestral god weapon. The aura of the extreme Tao continued to spread. Although Ji Yufei and Divine Lord South Heaven had entered the deepest part of the primordial chaos, the aura could still be felt. The extreme Tao, the end of the Tao. Anyone who can reach that step is the most unimaginable existence in the world. Ji Yufei was dumbstruck. He knew that as long as he didn't reach that step, he wouldn't know how powerful that existence was. Mph, you no longer have the chance to reach that step. Divine Lord South Heaven stared at Ji Yufei with a ferocious glint in his eyes. A chilling murderous intent spread from his body. He could not wait to kill this enemy in front of him. Is that so? Ji Yufei smiled. Although he had yet to break through to the sacred venerate realm, his cultivation was extremely close to it. He was confident that he could fight against Divine Lord South Heaven. He had a premonition that he might become a true holy venerate after this battle. Without the extreme Tao sacred weapon, you're nothing. Divine Lord South Heaven pointed at Ji Yufei and said excitedly, if you didn't have the mountain river cauldron back then, you would have been able to defeat me. Divine Lord South Heaven continued. Now that you don't have the extreme Tao sacred weapon, do you still naively think that you're a match for me? Stop dreaming. Divine Lord South Heaven grinned like a heavenly beast from the ancient era staring at its prey. You're so full of nonsense. Just come at me if you want to kill me. What are you doing here? Chapter 26-23. Die. Divine Lord Southern Heaven was enraged. He let out a furious roar as 9 rays of divine light emerged from his body and turned into swords of the great Tao that slashed at Jiu Fei. The same move again. Are you out of tricks? Jiu Fei moved. His body immediately emitted the sound of wind and thunder. Chaotic divine light emerged from his body as he swung his fist forward. Buzz. The void rumbled as a powerful chaotic force burst out from Jiu Fei's fist, shattering the 9 swords of the great Tao. Jiu Fei took a step forward and pressed forward. He reached out his hand and clawed at Divine Lord Southern Heaven's head. Chaotic Tao runes vaguely appeared on his hand. Whoosh! 2 rays of divine light shot out from Divine Lord Southern Heaven's eyes and pierced through Jiu Fei's right hand. The 2 rays of saber light were extremely sharp and emitted the aura of the great Tao. The saber light that floated in the air was immediately destroyed by the 2 saber lights. Clang! The 2 saber lights that shot out from Divine Lord Southern Heaven's eyes slashed at Jiu Fei's right hand, producing a metallic clang. What? Jiu Fei could only feel a burning pain from the places struck by the 2 saber intents. He was startled, but he still tried to grab at Hierarch South Heaven. Divine Lord Southern Heaven quickly dodged. At the same time, his face was filled with astonishment. He did not expect his opponent's flesh to be able to block his attack. No one knew the power of the 2 saber lights better than Divine Lord Southern Heaven. The 2 saber lights were formed by the 2 divine runes in his eyes. The saber lights formed by the 2 divine runes were enough to destroy an artifact refined by a sacred venerate. Jiu Fei's right hand was not severed by the saber lights. Was his flesh even stronger than a sacred venerate artifact? Divine Lord Southern Heaven could not help but be shocked. After forcing Supremacy South Heaven to back off, Jiu Fei lowered his head and saw 2 cuts on his right wrist, with blood flowing out from them. This, Jiu Fei could not help feeling startled. The 2 saber lights from his opponent's eyes could actually injure him. How was that possible? He found it hard to believe. One had to know that his martial body was already strong enough to contend against sacred venerate weapons. Ordinary sacred venerate weapons could not injure him at all. What divine ability is this? Jiu Fei's expression turned grave. After all, this fellow was the ancestor god's son and had obtained the ancestor god's inheritance. He was much stronger than ordinary holy venerables. This divine power seemed to be similar to the sky demon's merciless slash. However, Jiu Fei knew that this was definitely not the sky demon's merciless slash. The martial ancestor's inheritance is indeed terrifying. Your martial body is so powerful that it can resist my heavenly tribulation slash. Supremacy South Heaven said in a deep voice. Heavenly tribulation slash was a great technique of the divine Tao, and the might it revealed was absolutely shocking. It was said to be able to even slash apart heavenly tribulation, and it was a heaven-defying technique created by a supreme universe-enlightened ancestral god. The sky demon's merciless slash and the ancestor god's heavenly tribulation slash were 2 great techniques that were equally famous in the distant past. At that instant, the 2 wounds on Jiu Fei's hand rapidly healed and disappeared, as if he had never been injured in the first place. Humph! Jiu Fei uttered a hollow laugh. He did not say a word as he approached Supremacy South Heaven. Each step he took caused the entire void to tremble vigorously. His aura skyrocketed, as if even the void could not withstand the shocking divine aura bursting out from his body. I'm going to steal your fortune. Supremacy South Heaven let out a roar and lunged at Jiu Fei. At the same time, his figure turned blurry, as if he was about to merge with the surrounding void. A strange ripple instantly enshrouded Jiu Fei. Following this, he felt a burning sensation in his body, as if the martial qi in his body was ignited and evaporated by a force. This, Jiu Fei's heart shuddered. His opponent was planning to sacrifice him alive to steal his fortune. How detestable. Do you really think you can steal my fortune? Jiu Fei let out a furious roar. He executed his martial arts to suppress the strange sensation in his body, blocking the force that was affecting him. Buzz. Following this, Jiyu Fei separated his hands, summoning a golden Dao sword in front of him. Kill. As Jiyu Fei waved his hand, the golden Dao sword immediately sprang forward and pierced the supreme god South Heaven on the other side. The formidable sword glow tore the rift apart. Supremacy South Heaven unleashed the power of his fortune, causing a vortex to emerge from his body, devouring the heavens and earth, devouring the golden Dao sword that Jiyu Fei had fired. The golden Dao sword shattered into pieces in the vortex. The powerful qi contained in the Dao sword was absorbed by Supremacy South Heaven's divine body, turning into his god force. Preposterous. Jiyu Fei was infuriated upon seeing this. He immediately executed the sky-engulfing hand. Boom. The rift trembled vigorously as a giant chaotic hand appeared in the sky, slapping down at Supremacy South Heaven with a terrifying force that felt like it was going to crush the world. Slash. Supremacy South Heaven raised his head and glanced into the sky. 2 runes appeared in his eyes. Buzz. The rift shuddered as the 2 runes in Supremacy South Heaven's eyes sprang out from his eyes. They turned into 2 crescent-shaped light blades that slashed at the giant chaotic hand slapping down from the sky. Supremacy South Heaven executed the Heavenly Tribulation Slash once again. This time, the Heavenly Tribulation Slash displayed its formidable power once again, slashing at Jiyu Fei's chaotic hand. A force of fortune burst out from the 2 saber intents, which left 2 huge holes in Jiyu Fei's sky-engulfing hand. Supremacy South Heaven soared into the sky and exited one of the holes. Slash again. Supremacy South Heaven yelled as the 2 saber intents continued to slash at Jiyu Fei. Boom. An extremely violent energy burst out from the void. Jiyu Fei had executed the Chaos Fist, which attracted the power of the Great Tao of Chaos. What's going on? Supremacy South Heaven was taken aback. He could sense that the chaos force in the entire void was gathering toward Jiyu Fei's fist. It was definitely not a good thing for Divine Supremacy South Heaven, as they were currently in the Chaos Rift, where the chaotic force was boundless. Jiyu Fei had cultivated the chaos martial physique, thus he had the upper hand in this place. Chapter 26-24. Jiyu Fei was like the god of chaos descending upon the world. Every breath he took was able to trigger the great chaos force. Every move he made was able to summon a powerful force. He threw out a punch and sent the Hierarch South Heaven flying. How is this possible? Blood flowed out from the corner of the Hierarch South Heaven's mouth. His divine body had suffered a great blow. I'm free to use the great chaos force. Since you tried to kill me, I should be the one killing you instead. Jiyu Fei was very domineering. He took a step forward as a chaotic glow appeared under his feet. He instantly arrived in front of the Hierarch South Heaven and threw out another punch. Bang! The Hierarch South Heaven was sent flying once again. The deepest part of the chaos shook violently as the chaos chi surged. The great chaos force was too powerful. Even a divine path sacred venerable like the Hierarch South Heaven was suppressed by Jiyu Fei. How dare you! The Hierarch South Heaven coughed out blood. He was both furious and shocked. A brilliant light burst out from the top of his head and turned into a wheel. Meanwhile, the Hierarch South Heaven's Heavenly Tribulation Slash had already been destroyed by Jiyu Fei. Even the Heavenly Tribulation would be shattered by such a powerful force, let alone the Heavenly Tribulation Slash. Jiyu Fei stared at the wheel above the Hierarch South Heaven's head with a solemn expression. It was a wheel emitting a 9-colored godly glow. An extremely powerful force of creation spread out from the roulette. Rumble. The chaos void trembled. A giant vortex emerged from the wheel floating above the Hierarch South Heaven's head and continuously devoured the chaos chi in the surroundings. The wheel refined the chaos chi into creation energy and replenished the vitality chi that the Hierarch South Heaven had consumed. The vast creation energy surged down from the wheel and was absorbed by the Hierarch South Heaven's divine body. Soon, the Hierarch South Heaven's aura grew stronger again. Turn chaos into creation. Jiyu Fei was not in a hurry to attack. He stared coldly at the Hierarch South Heaven. The wheel above the Hierarch South Heaven's head was not simple. It must be a natal god weapon that the hierarch South Heaven had refined himself. You shouldn't have asked me to increase my combat power. The gaze of the South Heaven divine god turned incredibly sharp, like a bolt of lightning, preventing anyone from looking into his eyes. So what if I let you increase your battle strength? Ji Fei said indifferently. He was confident that he could defeat Supremacy South Heaven. Stupid guy. Supremacy South Heaven let out a hollow laugh. Meanwhile, the divine wheel of creation floating above his head continued to absorb the chaos chi and refine it into the energy of creation, which he continued to absorb. 9 divine patterns appeared on his body, radiating with an immortal divine light. This is confidence, not stupidity. Ji Fei said. Very well, I will send you on your way. Supremacy South Heaven waved his hand, summoning the divine wheel of creation into his hand. Come in. Supremacy South Heaven slapped the divine wheel of creation. A heaven-devouring force immediately burst out from the divine wheel and tried to devour Ji Fei. Countless divine patterns appeared on the divine wheel and intertwined with one another. An extremely powerful aura of a saintly venerate burst out from the divine wheel. This was the power of a peak saintly venerate. The chaos chi around Ji Fei was quickly devoured by it and entered the vortex on the divine wheel. Whoosh! Ji Fei reached out his hand with a smile and grabbed at the divine wheel of creation. His hand covered the space in front of him and blocked the devouring force from the divine wheel. What? Supremacy South Heaven was shocked. He immediately activated the divine wheel of creation. Boom! The divine wheel of creation vibrated as an even stronger divine force burst out from it. The chaos rift trembled as if it was about to split the world apart. Ji Fei's hand shook violently. It was almost knocked away by the divine force that burst out from the divine wheel of creation. The chaos hand vibrated as streams of chaos runes appeared on it, emitting a powerful aura of the great Tao that caused even the heavens to tremble. Catcher! The chaos hand grabbed the divine wheel of creation. The divine wheel of creation immediately let out a cracking sound. It was covered with cracks as if it would shatter at any time. Supremacy South Heaven was shocked. His opponent's martial body was too powerful. It was even stronger than a peak saintly venerate's god weapon. Killing you won't be difficult, Ji Fei said coldly. He then shook his right hand. Bang! With a bang, the divine wheel of creation was crushed by him, and the fragments turned into countless rays of divine light that shot out in all directions. Supremacy South Heaven was the first to bear the brunt of the attack. His body was pierced by the fragments of the divine wheel of creation and was severely injured. How is this possible? Supremacy South Heaven was dumbfounded. He could not believe that the god weapon that he had refined for his entire life was shattered by Yi Futian's grip. He could not accept it. Bang! At this moment, Ji Fei's left fist had already smashed into Supremacy South Heaven's chest. The fist penetrated his body and came out from his back. Roar, even if I die, I'll drag you down with me. Supremacy South Heaven went crazy. He grabbed Ji Fei and his entire body was set ablaze. A powerful destructive force was emitted from his body. You want to self-destruct? Ji Fei was shocked, but he was not afraid. So what if Supremacy South Heaven wanted to self-destruct? Boom! With a deafening explosion, the deepest part of the chaos hand collapsed and was annihilated. The terrifying destructive force that erupted directly wiped out the chaos hand. What happened? In the outside world, everyone was shocked. A terrifying destructive force was emitted from the deepest part of the chaos hand. Even the Eastern Sky Tyrant and the others were shocked. At that moment, the ancestral god weapon that was fighting against the mountain and river cauldron suddenly let out a cry. It forced the mountain and river cauldron back and broke through the layers of chaos chi, charging deeper into the chaos hand. Where do you think you're going? The little old man chased after it with the mountain and river cauldron in hand. Supremacy South Heaven had fallen. In the battle against Ji Fei, he was forced to self-destruct by Ji Fei. Both his body and soul were destroyed. To think that a god-child would end up like this. Even though Supremacy South Heaven had self-destructed, he only managed to seriously injure Ji Fei. It was difficult for him to drag Ji Yufei down with him. Ji Yufei was severely injured. He kept coughing out blood. His body was almost destroyed by the destructive force that erupted from Supremacy South Heaven's self-destruction. Even his soul was affected. Supremacy South Heaven had fallen. The ancestral god weapon let out a cry and charged straight at Ji Yufei, trying to kill Ji Yufei. However, a figure suddenly appeared in front of Ji Yufei. It was a mysterious person with a thin and small figure dressed in rags. This mysterious person had a head full of messy yellow hair. He was so skinny that he seemed to be wrapped in a layer of skin on top of his bones. Chapter 26-25. Supremacy South Heaven was the son of the ancestral god. His death almost drove the ancestral god weapon mad. It forced the mountain and river cauldron back and charged at Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei was on the brink of death. He no longer had the strength to dodge the attack. However, as the ancestral god weapon was about to reach him, a mysterious man suddenly appeared in front of Ji Yufei and reached out his hand to grab the ancestral god weapon. Ji Yufei was dumbfounded. The mysterious man was trying to resist the ancestral god weapon with his flesh. Was he out of his mind? The scene was too crazy. Ji Yufei's eyeballs almost dropped to the ground. If the mysterious man was not out of his mind, he must be the strongest existence in the legends. This man. Suddenly, a thought crossed Ji Yufei's mind. He immediately felt a chill rising from the bottom of his feet to the top of his head, causing him to shiver. At that instant, the old man in the form of the mountain and river cauldron let out a strange cry as if he had seen a ghost. He immediately turned around and fled, disappearing into the chaos chi in the blink of an eye. "It's you, how is this possible?" The ancestral god weapon that had almost gone mad suddenly came to its senses when it saw the mysterious man. It immediately stopped in its tracks. The mysterious man reached out his hand and grabbed the ancestral god weapon. He fiddled with it in his hand. Meanwhile, the god in the ancestral god weapon was trembling as if it was afraid of the mysterious man. It did not dare to attack the mysterious man. Could it really be? When Ji Yufei saw this scene, he was even more dumbfounded. Even the ancestral god weapon was afraid of this person. Could this person really be that legendary person? The ancestral mountain of the god tribe had been summoned away by the mysterious man. The god tribe that came out of the hell realm had all disappeared. Ji Yufei had seen the mysterious skinny man in the past. Even though it was only a brief glimpse, the mysterious man's appearance had already been imprinted in his heart. This person was originally a dried-up corpse drifting in the void of primal chaos. However, for some unknown reason, his body, which had already lost its vitality, was now brimming with life again. Sleeping for billions of years, the world has turned into mulberry fields, the mysterious man said with a sigh with his back to Ji Yufei. "My lord, I didn't mean to offend you. Please forgive me for the sake of my master." The ancestral divine weapons god said in fear. "Go." The mysterious man spoke. Then, the ancestral divine weapon flew out from his hand, breaking through the layers of primal chaos chi and disappeared into the distance. At this moment, somewhere high up in the sky, a figure hidden in the clouds suddenly revealed a look of disbelief. Then, his body began to tremble. How is this possible? He has returned. This person was precisely Heavenly Emperor Zi Yang. The battle between Ji Yufei and Hierarch South Heaven had caused a huge commotion. Celestial monarch Zi Yang naturally came to spectate the battle after hearing the news. However, he didn't expect the mysterious person to appear out of nowhere. Celestial monarch Zi Yang sensed it. At this moment, a figure stood silently in the depths of the chaos. He did not give off any presence at all, but all the Supreme Saint weapons retreated in shock. This shocked Ji Yufei to the extreme. A single person stirring up chaos in the world. The martial ancestor's words have come true. The mysterious man's back was still facing Ji Yufei. He murmured to himself with an ancient voice. "Sir, Senior," Ji Yufei said with a trembling voice. "Isn't the world chaotic enough?" The mysterious man seemed to have seen through the heavenly secret. He ignored Ji Yufei and took a step forward, instantly disappearing before Ji Yufei's eyes. Ji Yufei was speechless for a long time. What kind of existence was he to be able to intimidate the Supreme Saint weapons? That mysterious man had made him feel suffocated. A single person stirring up chaos in the world. What does that mean? Ji Fei murmured to himself. Meanwhile, the auras of the 4 Supreme Saint weapons were withdrawn. The god armaments returned to the Saint weapons and flew into the depths of the chaos, entering Ji Fei's body. Was it really him just now? In the distant sky outside, Heavenly Emperor Ziyang's expression was uncertain. The power of heaven's wrath had disappeared. The changes in the 3 realms and 6 paths had finally appeared. Creatures above the sage level were no longer bound. Could it be that those people were also beginning to return? Heavenly Emperor Ziyang thought of many things. He had already achieved Tao in the ancient era when there were many experts. Moreover, he had once followed the Supreme Tao ancestor and knew many secrets of the world. The Eastern Sky Tyrant Monarch also seemed to have sensed the abnormality coming from the depths of the chaos. However, even with her cultivation, it was difficult for her to sense the existence of the mysterious man. At this moment, Ghost Emperor Fengju's expression suddenly changed. He directly broke through the void of heaven and earth and stepped in, disappearing high up in the sky. At this time, the mysterious ghost palace of Fengju welcomed a mysterious guest. It was a mysterious man with a small and skinny figure. He directly appeared in the ghost palace of Fengju and then appeared in front of the divine palace in the sky. The mysterious man waved his hand, and an item immediately flew out of the ghost palace of Fengju. It was a Tao platform with a seal left by Ghost Emperor Fengju. The mysterious man only used his right hand to gently wipe the Tao platform. The seal left by Ghost Emperor Fengju was immediately erased. Countless runes dissipated in the void. The 3 realms and 6 paths are still not chaotic enough. The mysterious man directly sat cross-legged on the Tao platform and then disappeared in the void. He did not alarm any ghost cultivators in the ghost palace of Fengju. When Ghost Emperor Fengju's figure appeared in the ghost palace of Fengju, the mysterious man had already left. Ghost Emperor Fengju rushed into his divine palace. Very soon, he rushed out again. Could it be that person has really returned? Ghost Emperor Fengju muttered to himself. His expression became incomparably solemn. At the same time, in the depths of the Eastern Domain Sky Market, where the Tao platform appeared in the past, a Tao platform silently appeared in the void. A skinny figure sat on the Tao platform. This person's back was facing all living beings, giving off a feeling of endless vicissitudes. Boom! The next moment, the Tao platform under the mysterious man's buttocks suddenly released endless immortal Tao divine light. Countless immortal Tao runes emerged from the Tao platform. A resplendent pillar of light soared into the sky and broke through the void of heaven and earth. It directly turned into a passage that extended into the endless darkness. Very soon, a worldly aura came from the passage that the divine light broke through. The mysterious man used a great divine ability and opened the passage between heaven and mortal with the Tao platform left by the Supreme Tao Ancestor. Chapter 26-26. In the East Region Sky Ruin, someone had opened up a passage between heavenly and mortal realms. It was an ancient path to heaven that had been reopened by someone with a great divine ability. When the news spread, the entire cultivation world of the Tinglong continent was in an uproar. The ancient path to heaven, the legendary ancient path to heaven had long collapsed. But now, someone had reopened the ancient path to heaven. Who had such a divine ability and arcane energy? Some people guessed that it was Ghost Emperor Fengju, because someone had sensed the aura of the sky-piercing altar. Only a peerless figure who controlled the sky-piercing altar could repair the ancient path to heaven. The sky-piercing altar was the key. Back then, it was not a coincidence that the sky-piercing altar had appeared in the depths of the sky ruin. It was as if there was a mysterious force pushing it forward. The reopening of the ancient path to heaven had a great impact on the entire ancestral dragon star. One should know that the heaven realm was a place that only appeared in legends to the cultivators who came to this world after the desolate era. The news of Ji Fei killing Hierarch Southern Heaven was not as shocking as the news of the ancient path to heaven. The reappearance of the ancient path to heaven had attracted everyone's attention. Even those super antiques who had just woken up from their slumber jumped out. Everyone was very cautious about the reappearance of the ancient path to heaven. For a moment, no one dared to set foot on the path. However, everyone knew that this was only temporary. Once one person successfully set foot on the path, there would be a second, a third, and thousands of others. At this moment, the aftermath of the battle between Gu Fei and Hierarch Southern Heaven had greatly affected the East region. There was only one outcome for all traitors: death. It was not the first time for some people to betray Gu Fei. During the rebellion in the ocean, Gu Fei could only kill the leader, but this time, he would no longer be merciful. Being merciful to one's enemy was being cruel to oneself. After the rebellion of the Southern Heaven Divine Sovereign, Gu Fei had come to understand the meaning of the saying. A person's heart was revealed in times of adversity. Those who did not betray Gu Fei despite being threatened by Hierarch Southern Heaven were Gu Fei's true friends and brothers. Hierarch Southern Heaven was decisive in killing. He was a formidable character of his generation. Back in the ocean, he was already on par with heavenly monarch Zi Yang and the unaging demon child. He dominated an area and became one of the three overlords of the ocean. Such a person would never be as merciful as Gu Fei. Those who refused to submit to him were all killed by him. As for the 13 great bandits who had managed to escape the calamity, Supremacy South Heaven would send out experts to hunt them down. Sometimes, he would even hunt them down himself. Zhuge Liang was the only one among the 13 great bandits who had survived the pursuit of the South Heaven Divine Highness. One could easily imagine what had happened to the others. That being said, there were quite a few who managed to escape. After Gu Fei defeated Hierarch Southern Heaven, there was no need for them to hide anymore. Gu Fei gathered his old subordinates. After the chaos in the ocean, almost all the major tribes were wiped out. Eldest brother Wu and the others were killed by Gu Fei right away. When Gu Fei gathered his remaining subordinates, he had the urge to vomit blood. Hierarch Southern Heaven was too ruthless, killing all those who were loyal to him. Apart from the Iron Blood Daoist, there was not a single sacred realm cultivator among the remaining subordinates. The only quasi-sacred realm cultivator was Zhuge Liang, and the rest were cultivators who were not even immortal gods. In other words, almost all the people that Gu Fei brought back from the ocean had been wiped out. As such, the happiest ones were obviously the Dongfang clan, followed by the primordial desolation Zhao clan, and the restless demons in the Eastern Demon Cave. However, the battle prowess that Gu Fei displayed made everyone's hearts palpitate. With the 4 supreme saint weapons in Gu Fei's hands, it was definitely enough to intimidate all the other forces. Supreme saint weapons were not ordinary saint weapons. To a certain extent, supreme saint weapons were alive. They were a different kind of life form with their own consciousness. If one wanted to touch Gu Fei's people, they would first have to deal with Gu Fei's supreme saint weapons. Even an existence like Ghost Emperor Fengju would have some reservations if he wanted to touch Gu Fei. While Gu Fei was gathering his old subordinates, there was one person who was extremely anxious. This person was Ghost Emperor Fengju. Because a person, or to be more precise, a person who was supposed to be dead had appeared in his ghost palace of Fengju. In the ghost palace of Fengju's ghost palace, a thin figure was sitting on a throne. His withered body was so thin that only skin and bones remained. His dry, yellow hair was messily draped over his shoulders, covering his face. You actually opened the path to heaven. This, Ghost Emperor Fengju, who was high and mighty, actually became fearful in front of this person. If others were to see this scene, their eyeballs would definitely fall to the ground in shock. This is not in line with the plan. Ghost Emperor Fengju continued. The 3 realms and 6 Daos are undergoing unexpected changes all the time. I'm just making everything that is about to happen in advance. A hoarse voice rang out. But, the time has not come yet. This, Ghost Emperor Fengju wanted to say more. However, the person sitting on the throne waved his hand and interrupted him. All right, I will bear all the consequences. You all go do what you need to do. The mysterious person said impatiently. Ghost Emperor Fengju didn't dare to say anything else. He then bowed to the mysterious person on the throne and left. After leaving the divine palace, Ghost Emperor Fengju looked back and sighed. His face revealed a helpless expression. This was truly an incomparably powerful existence. No one knew that an existence that even Ghost Emperor Fengju had to carefully serve had appeared. After the ancient road to heaven appeared, all the experts on the soaring dragon ancestral star turned their attention towards it. The heaven realm used to be so far away from them, but now, the heaven realm was no longer so unreachable for all the cultivators on the soaring dragon ancestral star. However, no one was willing to be the first to step on this legendary ancient road. There were many legends about this ancient road. It was definitely not an easy task to truly ascend to the heaven realm. In the distant past, it was unknown how many heroes had fallen on this ancient road. In order to open up this ancient road, ancient sages and sages advanced wave after wave, killing until the heavens and the earth cracked. Even a piece of the heaven realm collapsed and fell from the ancient road to heaven. Legend had it that at the end of the ancient road, there were unimaginable living beings obstructing those ascending to heaven. The heaven realm was boundlessly vast. There were forbidden areas that had yet to be explored. In those areas, there were unimaginable living beings. Some people speculated that the exit of the ancient road to heaven in the heaven realm was in those forbidden areas. Chapter 26-27. The Ancient Path to Heavens. When Ji Yufei learned about the ancient path to heavens, he immediately thought of the mysterious man. It was most likely that the mysterious man was the only one who could open the path to heavens in the human world. Who exactly is that mysterious man? Could it really be that man? As a matter of fact, Ji Yufei had already guessed something, but he was unable to confirm it. Various signs indicated that the mysterious man was most likely one of the ancient 9 heavens, 10 lands. The ancient 9 heavens, and 10 lands were undefeatable existences in the 3 realms and 6 paths. No one knew what had happened in the past, but even these supreme existences had gone missing. What Ji Yufei was sure of was that those who had disappeared might reappear. However, Ji Yufei had no time to waste on the ancient path to heavens. His priority now was to look for heaven monarch Ziyang, the unold demon child, and the others. His disciples, the Red Dragon and Yarrow Yu, had been saved by the unold demon child and the others. They had saved quite a number of people too. Besides, Li Lingfeng was Ji Yufei's first senior brother after all. He had escaped after being severely injured by the South Heaven Sacred Lord, so it was unknown if he was still alive. Ji Yufei sent out all the people he could, and he himself also went out personally. However, it was as if heaven monarch Ziyang and the unold demon child had vanished into thin air. Ji Yufei could not find any trace of them even after searching the entire eastern region. Wanxiang City was an ancient city in the eastern region, but it had now become Ji Yufei's territory. The second city of the eastern region was half destroyed, thus Ji Yufei had no choice but to shift his focus to Wanxiang City. He stayed there for the time being to gather his old subordinates. The Wanxiang City used to be an ancient city under the Dongfang clan's control, but it was now under Ji Yufei's control. In the city lord's mansion, Ji Yufei was at his wit's end. Heaven monarch Ziyang and the unold demon child must have escaped. Otherwise, they would have returned after hearing the news. Li Lingfeng was also nowhere to be found, just like the immortal demon child and the others. After the battle against the South Heaven supremacy, the gods in the 4 extreme Dao sacred weapons gradually fell into a deep sleep, leaving Ji Yufei speechless. After the great battle, Ji Yufei also felt the shackles on his cultivation start to loosen. He had the urge to enter closed-door cultivation to break through to the Holy Venerate realm. However, he couldn't go into seclusion at this time. He was surrounded by powerful enemies. If Ji Yufei wasn't in Wanxiang City, the consequences would be unimaginable. Although the Ironblood Daoist was also a saint, the power of heavenly wrath had vanished. Any one of the old fogies who'd been slumbering to this day could easily defeat him. Only existences like the unaging demon child and heavenly emperor Ziyang could serve as a deterrent to the major powers. Buzz. On this day, Ji Yufei's body suddenly emitted a buzzing sound. A purple gold godly sword was floating in his inner world, constantly buzzing and tearing through the sky. The purple gold godly sword seemed to be very restless. The gods in the other 3 extreme Tao sacred weapons were not restless. They were all in a deep sleep, praying to recover to their peak condition. However, the god in the purple gold godly sword was an exception. It kept waking up from its deep sleep. The purple gold godly sword was a supreme Tao sword. It was a supreme Tao weapon refined by the legendary supreme Tao ancestor, the sword of the supreme Tao ancestor. When the mysterious person appeared, he did not take away the purple gold godly sword, which made Ji Yufei pay attention to it. Rumble, just when Ji Yufei was at a loss of what to do, someone finally couldn't help but step onto the ancient road to heaven from the depths of the East Region Sky Market. There was no unknown, terrifying existence descending. The person who stepped onto the ancient path to heaven was an old man who didn't seem to have much lifespan left. They couldn't wait for such an existence because they no longer had the time to wait. They could only step onto the ancient path to heaven. As the old man's figure disappeared from the ancient path to heaven, all the cultivators who saw this scene were shocked to the extreme. Unfortunately, nothing bad happened. Seeing that there was no danger on the ancient path to heaven, almost everyone was incomparably excited. The legendary heaven realm was the holy land that all the experts yearned for. Not long after the old man stepped onto the ancient path to heaven, more than 10 figures rushed up and directly stepped onto the ancient path to heaven, wanting to reach the heaven realm in one step. After those 10 people stepped onto the ancient path to heaven, they did not encounter any danger. This made the older generation cultivators surprised and happy at the same time. Even the old antiques were tempted. The heaven realm was a boundless heaven and earth that was more stable than the human realm. What the experts yearned for the most was that the heaven and earth law in the heaven realm was flawless. This kind of heaven and earth was the easiest to give birth to supreme experts. In the distant past, the ancient desolate world was also a flawless heaven and earth. However, in the later stages of the ancient desolate era, a great change occurred. The ancient desolate world collapsed and gradually formed the human realm. After the ancient desolate world collapsed, the heaven and earth law became incomplete. This kind of human realm could not give birth to supreme experts. The ancient desolate world collapsed, the grand Tao was incomplete. In the human realm, no matter how heaven-defying one's physique was, one would not be able to become a supreme expert. Those old antiques who had been in slumber for countless years were very clear about the human realm's situation. Only by entering the heaven realm would they have the hope of becoming supreme experts. However, those old antiques were still observing. In the next few days, people continued to step onto the ancient path to heaven, heading towards the legendary heaven realm. However, on the 10th day, the cultivators around the ancient path to heaven suddenly discovered that there was a rain of blood on the ancient path. What happened? Could it be that this is an ominous sign? The legend is real. Everyone was shocked to the extreme. Blood rain on the ancient path to heaven was too strange. Could it be that this rain of blood was caused by those who stepped onto the ancient path to heaven before? Those who stepped onto the ancient path to heaven all met with misfortune. What's going on? Above the clouds, a few silhouettes stood. Standing at the front was a black-robed young man. This black-robed young man was none other than Ji Yufei. The ancient path to heaven had appeared. Such an important matter, it was impossible for him not to come and take a look. Blood on the ancient path to heaven was definitely not a good thing. It was definitely an ominous sign. However, no one knew what was happening on the ancient path to heaven. Ji Yufei was very curious. There were definitely dangers on the ancient road to heaven, but as for what kind of dangers there were, it was the most interesting thing. A cold snort could be heard. A silhouette walked out and directly stepped onto the ancient path to heaven. A powerful Saint Realm Chi was emitted from this person's body. This was a white-haired old man, and he was also a sage. Chapter 26-28. An old saint stepped onto the ancient road to heaven. This was definitely a major event, attracting the attention of countless people. This old saint's cultivation base was definitely powerful. One should know that he was an ancient saint who achieved his Tao in the desolate era. At that time, the Tao of heaven and earth was flawless. Those who achieved their Tao back then were definitely much stronger than those who achieved their Tao now. The desolate era collapsed, and after countless years, it evolved into the current human realm. Since then, the heaven and earth had flaws. The void was not as stable as the desolate era. After that ancient saint stepped onto the ancient road to heaven, nothing strange happened. However, half an hour later, a furious roar resounded from the ancient road to heaven. Following that, a golden rain of blood fell from the sky. Everyone was shocked to the extreme. The golden rain of blood emitted a powerful Saint Chi. It was the Chi of the old saint who stepped onto the ancient road to heaven. The old saint has fallen. Everyone couldn't believe it. One should know that that was an ancient saint, incomparably powerful. In the current human realm, he could definitely rule over a region. However, such a powerful ancient saint had actually fallen. This was hard to accept. Even an ancient saint had died on the ancient road to heaven. Wouldn't the other cultivators be courting death by stepping onto the ancient road to heaven? The death of the ancient saint had shocked everyone. Even the other ancient saints hesitated at this moment. There were unknown dangers on the ancient road to heaven. The golden rain of blood fell from the ancient road to heaven. That was the blood of a saint. At this moment, the surroundings of the ancient road to heaven became silent. All the living beings were silent. Some powerful figures retreated, some were not in a hurry to step onto the ancient road to heaven. Master, could this ancient road be a trap? Ironblood Daoist voiced out his doubts. The ancient road to heaven is not easy to walk on. How could it be so easy to ascend to the heavens? Jiyu Fei looked at the ancient road in front of him. His expression was somewhat solemn. Since that person had opened the ancient road to heaven, he shouldn't have used it to kill experts from the human realm. However, it was an indisputable fact that there were unknown dangers on the ancient road to heaven. Let's go, the heaven realm is not as good as we thought. After saying that, Jiyu Fei turned around and left. Ironblood Daoist and Zhuge Liang exchanged glances and hurriedly chased after him. What they didn't know was that Jiyu Fei had been to the heaven realm before. The heaven realm was vast and boundless. Experts were as common as trees in a forest. Various forces fought against each other. At this time, the heaven realm should be in chaos. Rumble, after Jiyu Fei left with the Ironblood Daoist and the others, the entire ancient heaven ascension road suddenly shook. A terrifying aura came from the other side of the road. What happened? The cultivators near the ancient road to heaven were shocked. Could it be that an unknown creature is about to charge over from the other end of the heavenly road? Someone exclaimed. The aura coming from the other end of the ancient road to heaven was extremely violent, as if a terrifying ancient heavenly beast had awakened from a deep slumber. Roar! A terrifying roar resounded from the other end of the ancient road to heaven. The entire ancient road seemed like it was about to collapse. On the ancient road, there were sparkling white bones and scarlet flesh falling. Is there really a terrifying beast guarding the other end of the ancient road to heaven? All the cultivators who witnessed this scene were shocked. Countless experts stared at the ancient road in front of them. However, what they were worried about did not happen. The violent aura gradually retreated. The terrifying existence on the other end of the ancient road to heaven did not charge over. At this moment, Ghost Monarch Fengju's figure silently appeared in the distant sky. What does that lord want to do? The creatures in the forbidden area are taboo existences. They are not something that ordinary saints can deal with. Could it be that lord wants to make a move on those mysterious forbidden areas? Ghost Monarch Fengju muttered to himself. In this world, there were many places that immortals and mortals could not set foot in. Those who dared to intrude into those places, whether it was an immortal or a god, would not be able to walk out from those places. Since ancient times, the forbidden areas in the three realms and six Tao had always existed. As for what kind of mysterious creatures were in those forbidden areas, no one knew. Perhaps, only those supremes who had disappeared would know the truth of the forbidden areas. If that's really the case, sigh. Ghost Monarch Fengju sighed. No one could change the decision of that lord. At least, he could not change it. Then, Ghost monarch Fengju glanced at the ancient road to heaven and disappeared in the void. Some super old antiques seemed to have thought of something and directly retreated. Anything that was related to the forbidden areas would cause misfortune. The fall of the ancient saints made all the creatures who wanted to ascend to heaven stop. Before the situation was clear, no one was willing to take the risk. At this time, in the heavenly realm, Eastern Earth, in the ruins of the moon deities, baleful aura soared to the sky. Terrifying figures were faintly discernible in the midst of the yin-chi and baleful aura. Roar. Terrifying roars came from the depths of this place from time to time. In the depths of the endless yin-chi and baleful aura, there was an ancient city floating in the void. In the ancient city, a figure was faintly discernible in the void. Someone has returned and communicated with the immortals. Does this mean that they are going to make a move? In the ancient city, such words were heard. A peerless figure flashed and disappeared in the yin-chi. The entire ancient city was once again shrouded in yin-chi. However, in the endless aura of death, there was a faint vitality. Extreme death could extend vitality. The divine spring of life between heaven and earth was born in this way. In the ancient city, there was a powerful existence who wanted to reverse life and death. At this time, the heavenly realm was not peaceful, just as Ji Yufei had guessed. The demon race was in internal strife, and countless experts had fallen. Although the old turtle took action, the result was a Pyrrhic victory. Such an ending was not what the old turtle wanted to see. On the other hand, Little Ching and the others who followed Old Tortoise grew stronger through countless life-and-death battles and became the strongest of the demon clan. Experts who grew up in this way were the real experts. In the demon race's ancestral court, the old turtle was still laughing and cursing. He was still good at using underhanded means. Xiaoqing and the others were brought out by him, so they naturally learned from him. The descendant of the sky demon was unexpectedly smashed to death by the old turtle with the Tai Huang seal. Such a way of death was too unjust. However, the sky demon had more than one descendant. The dragon had 9 sons, and the Tai Huang had 9 sons. The sky demon did not fall behind. The sky demon had 13 descendants, and they were called the 13 demon emperors. The other demon emperors were still in hiding. The demon emperor that was smashed to death by the old turtle with the Tai Huang seal was the 3rd son of the sky demon. The internal strife of the demon race was temporarily calmed. Chapter 26-29. Boom. A supreme aura suddenly erupted from the depths of the West Dark Ocean. Terrifying energy ripples spread in all directions. At this moment, all the experts in the heaven realm could feel this ripple. This was definitely a night that made the experts of the 5 regions of the heaven realm restless. There's a change in the west. What's going on? The experts of the 5 regions were incomparably shocked. Some of them immediately rushed out from their cultivation grounds. With a step, they tore through the sky and headed towards the extreme west of the heaven realm. The region occupied by the human race was actually only a small part of the endless heaven realm. The majority of the regions in the heaven realm were still unexplored and unknown. In the extreme west, there was a forbidden region. It was a sea shrouded in deathly chi. This sea region was one of the famous forbidden regions of the heaven realm, the West Dark Ocean. The West Underworld Sea had existed for countless years, and there were unimaginable creatures in it. Even if a saint were to barge into this sea, he would be devoured by this sea. Fortunately, these mysterious life forms had never left this forbidden region. Otherwise, the human race would be in great trouble. In the distant past, the supreme beings of the heaven realm wanted to flatten the forbidden regions of the heaven realm. In the end, a shocking war occurred. After the war, the forbidden regions still existed. At this time, a supreme immortal aura spread out from the West Dark Ocean. It was as if a supreme Tao ancestor had descended upon the West Dark Ocean. Immortal light soared into the sky. An ancient path appeared in the depths of the West Dark Ocean. Roar. Terrifying roars came from the West Dark Ocean. Some unknown life forms were alarmed. A terrifying deathly chi spread out, causing huge waves to rise in the calm West Dark Ocean. I can sense the aura of the human world. Many experts of West Earth came to the West Dark Ocean. Someone said such words. That is, in the depths of the West Dark Ocean, immortal light and deathly chi interweaved. The two powers were clashing and cancelling each other out. It was difficult for them to truly fuse because they were two opposing powers. Within the immortal light and deathly chi, an ancient path made of white bones was faintly discernible. Could this be the legendary heavenly mortal ancient path? Some of the old monsters of West Earth were incomparably shocked. Even though they couldn't see clearly, that ancient path seemed to be similar to the legendary heavenly mortal path. One must know that in the distant past, the heaven realm and the mortal world were connected by the heaven's path. However, when the great desolate world collapsed, the heaven's path was also destroyed. From then on, the heaven realm and the mortal world were separated. However, in the heaven realm, there was a legend that the heaven's road would reappear. The great calamity back then caused the great desolate world to collapse, but the heavenly realm was not affected that seriously, because the main battlefield was in the great desolate world. After the heavenly mortal realm was isolated, the experts in the heaven realm could not descend to the mortal realm. No one knew about the situation in the mortal realm until countless years passed and the heavenly Tao platform appeared. Only then did the path to the heavenly mortal realm open temporarily. But now, the heaven's road had appeared again, and it appeared in the Forbidden Zone. He actually appeared in the Forbidden Zone? How could this be? Outside the Western Underworld Sea, there were powerful figures roaming about. The originally peaceful West Earth became bustling with activity. Experts who received the news kept descending to West Earth. Outside the West Netherworld Sea, experts gathered. The Emperor's yarn of the Eastern Earth is here. A chariot rolled through the sky, and on it stood an incomparably powerful figure. The aura of the divine Tao emanated from him. 9 beams of divine light appeared behind that person, and everyone felt a great pressure. It was as if a boulder had suddenly pressed down on their chests. Emperor Xian's cultivation seems to have increased by quite a bit, one of the old-timers muttered. The Emperor Xian of the Eastern Earth was an overlord. Right now, the entire Eastern Earth was under the control of Emperor Xian. Only the ancestral land of the golden-eyed divine ape clan hadn't been conquered by Emperor Xian. Besides that, Emperor Xian of the Eastern Earth could truly be said to be the supreme ruler of the Eastern Earth. The ancestral land of the golden-eyed divine ape clan wasn't so easily conquered. It had to be known that this clan had once produced a supreme existence. To Emperor Xian of the Eastern Earth, this clan was definitely a huge problem. It had to be known that the golden-eyed divine ape Yuan Hong was Ji Yu Fei's brother. Yuan Hong was in seclusion in the ancestral land of the golden-eyed divine ape clan, and he still hadn't emerged. However, Emperor Xian of the Eastern Earth knew that the day Yuan Hong emerged would be the day the Eastern Earth would be in chaos. Moreover, in recent years, various strange phenomena had been occurring in the ancestral land of the golden-eyed divine ape clan. The divine ape that had been in seclusion showed signs of emerging. Emperor Xian of the Eastern Earth had many enemies, and the demon clan was one of them. It had to be known that the old turtle and Ji Yu Fei were brothers who had gone through life and death together. However, internal strife had occurred in the demon clan, and the old turtle had to quell it. He had no time to deal with Emperor Xian of the Eastern Sky. Now that the old turtle had basically quelled the internal strife of the demon clan, he could deal with Emperor Xian of the Eastern Earth at any time. Just as Emperor Xian of the Eastern Earth appeared outside the Western Underworld Sea, a figure directly attacked the Eastern Earth, breaking through 18 heavenly passes in a row, and with irresistible force, killed his way to the front of Emperor Xian of the Eastern Earth's heavenly palace. Kill. An immortal general rushed out of Emperor Xian's heavenly palace. He held a divine halberd in his hand, and directly hacked at the head of the person who had killed his way to the front of Emperor Xian's heavenly palace. The person was wearing battle armor. With a flip of his right hand, a black rod appeared in his hand, and he directly raised it to block the attack. Clang! Sparks flew everywhere as the immortal general's halberd collided with the man's black rod. An ear-piercing sound of metal colliding rang out, and then the halberd in the immortal general's hand was split in two. His hands that held the halberd were drenched in blood. What? The immortal general coughed out blood and hurriedly retreated. His hands were almost broken by the power of the black rod. However, Although the immortal general retreated quickly, the person was even faster. With a single step, the person instantly caught up to the immortal general. He directly swung the black rod in his hand and ruthlessly smashed it on the head of the immortal general. Not only did the head of the immortal general explode, but the violent force also shattered the body of the immortal general. This person was extremely domineering. With just one strike of his staff, he had killed an immortal general under the East Earth Immortal Emperor in both body and soul. Eastern Earth's Emperor Xian, what a great name. Could it be that his subordinates are all a bunch of useless good-for-nothings? The person held the black rod in his hand, and his demonic chi soared up to the sky. A huge green dragon could be faintly seen on his body as he shouted towards the Emperor Xian's heavenly palace. His voice echoed throughout the entire Emperor Xian's heavenly palace. "Who exactly are you?" An aged voice rang out from the Emperor Xian's heavenly palace. This daddy will never change my name or my surname. This daddy is a general under the demon lord, Xiaoqing. Chapter 2630. Xiaoqing broke through 18 heavenly passes in a row and directly killed his way to Emperor Xian's palace, causing the entire Eastern Earth to shake. "The demon lord didn't come personally and sent you here to die." An old voice came from within the Emperor Xian's palace. Then, a figure directly walked out of the Emperor Xian's palace. It was a middle-aged man wearing a purple crown and a purple robe with 9 immortal lights revolving around his body. What? When Xiaoqing saw this person, he couldn't help but be startled. This person was actually the Eastern Emperor Xian. How was this possible? Didn't the Emperor Xian of the Eastern Earth go to the Shimmon Ocean? Did you think that I went to the Shimmon Ocean and wanted to take advantage of the emptiness here to cause trouble? Said the middle-aged man. With every step he took, a Tao light appeared beneath his feet as if he was walking on the Grand Tao. His voice was incomparably old, but his appearance was that of a middle-aged man. 3 strands of long beard fluttered in front of his chest. He was tall and thin and had the demeanor of a transcendent being. Xiaoqing was truly moved. He seemed to have thought of something and his expression became somewhat unsightly. "This Emperor Xian's incarnations are not something you can imagine," said the middle-aged man proudly. Back in the chaotic world, the one that was killed by my demon lord should be your incarnation," said Xiaoqing. He should have thought of this long ago. After all, when he returned from the chaotic world to the heaven realm, he was shocked to find that the Eastern Emperor Xian was still alive and well. At that time, the third son of the sky demon took advantage of the fact that the old turtle was not in the heaven realm to suddenly rise in revolt and wanted to replace him as the demon lord of the heaven realm. After the old turtle and the others returned from the chaotic world, they were busy quelling the chaos and had no time to pay attention to the Eastern Emperor Xian, Yuan Jiyu. Losing a few incarnations doesn't matter to this Emperor Xian. Since you don't know what's good for you, this Emperor Xian will first collect some interest from the demon race. East Immortal Emperor Yuan Jiyu said disapprovingly. Only a guy as timid as a mouse would hide behind and not dare to show himself. Such a guy actually dares to call himself Emperor Xian. Xiaoqing said disdainfully. Provoking me won't do you any good. As the primordial Emperor Xian pressed forward, a wave of extremely sharp sword chi erupted from his body. The surrounding temperature dropped rapidly under the impact of the sword chi. Around Emperor Xian's palace, there were powerful figures looming. They were the powerful generals guarding Emperor Xian's palace. "I'm afraid you have teeth." Xiaoqing sneered and swung the black rod in his hand at Emperor Xian. A powerful wave of energy immediately erupted from the black rod. The entire space shook when Xiaoqing smashed the rod forward. Rumble. A series of pitch-black spatial cracks appeared in the surrounding void. Even the stable void of the heavenly realm had cracks appearing in the void. "That stick of yours." The primordial Emperor Xian's eyes suddenly lit up as he stared at the black rod falling from the sky. At the same time, a wave of immortal Tao energy spread from his body. When the black rod in Xiaoqing's hand was about to hit the primordial Emperor Xian's head, Xiaoqing felt his hand become lighter. The black rod that he had smashed down slid to the side. Xiaoqing was taken aback. At that moment, the primordial Emperor Xian made his move. He pointed a finger and an extremely sharp sword qi immediately rushed out of his finger and pierced Xiaoqing. 9 Secrets of the Immortal Tao. Xiaoqing quickly took a step to the side. Runes appeared under his feet and he dodged the sword qi from the primordial emperor's yarn. Roar! Xiaoqing roared and quickly changed his move. The black iron rod in his hand swept at the primordial emperor's yarn's waist. The black rod moved quickly in the void, stirring up a strong wind. There was a faint explosion in the void. The power of the rod was not small. However, what shocked Xiaoqing was that his opponent had no intention of dodging his ferocious attack. A strange wave of immortal Tao energy spread from his opponent's body. The black rod in Xiaoqing's hand was shifted away by the immortal Tao energy that erupted from the primordial emperor's yarn's body. Chaos Reversal Secret Art. Xiaoqing couldn't help but be moved. He naturally knew the ins and outs of the primordial emperor's yarn. In the past, when the old turtle killed the primordial emperor's yarn's clone in the primordial world, he used a soul-searching technique on the clone and read the memories of the primordial emperor's yarn's clone. From the memories of the clone, he obtained the Chaos Reversal Secret Art and the Void Reversal Secret Art of the 9 Secrets of the Immortal Tao. At the same time that the primordial emperor's yarn shifted Xiaoqing's black rod, the primordial emperor's yarn also attacked Xiaoqing. A dazzling flying immortal sword light bloomed between his hands and pierced towards Xiaoqing. He had used the flying immortal sword's terrifying killer move. Each of the sword lights was powerful enough to cut down the stars in the sky and split the void. Xiaoqing sneered and disappeared on the spot. His entire body seemed to have melted into the void around him. Even his aura disappeared. The flying immortal sword light that the primordial emperor's yarn had unleashed immediately lost its target. Preposterous, Yuan Jiyu, the celestial emperor of the East, was both shocked and furious. He also disappeared into the void. The two powerhouses fought in the void. Their figures appeared from time to time in the void, causing a deafening explosion. Bang! Boom! Little Qing continued to fight head-on with immortal Emperor Yuan Jiyu, causing incomparably shocking sounds to erupt. The void was constantly shattering, and the world was shaking. Bang! A figure flickered and Xiaoqing fell out of the void, a trace of blood at the corner of his mouth. However, he was still full of fighting spirit. He held the black rod in his hand and looked coldly at the primordial emperor's yarn, who was walking out of the void. "You're dead today." The primordial emperor's yarn stared at Xiaoqing confidently. "Is that so?" Xiaoqing smiled and didn't say anything else. At the same time, he used the Ascension secret technique, one of the 9 secrets of the immortal path. Roar! Little Qing raised his head to the sky and roared. 9 demon marks appeared on his body and his strength soared. A terrifying energy fluctuation erupted from his body. The primordial emperor's yarn sensed the changes in Xiaoqing's body and couldn't help but be moved. Kill! Xiaoqing's long hair fluttered wildly as he attacked the primordial emperor's yarn with the black rod in his hand. He had the power to pierce a hole in the sky. Chaotic, the primordial emperor's yarn didn't dare to be careless. It should be noted that Xiaoqing's power had soared to a level that even he couldn't help but be moved. Even the chaotic secret technique might not be able to move the rod away. In the face of absolute power, even an undefeatable secret technique created by an ancient supreme would be shattered by such power without any suspense. Swoosh! The primordial emperor's yarn's figure suddenly disappeared and he dodged Xiaoqing's rod. The next moment, he appeared above Xiaoqing's head and stretched out his hand to slap at Xiaoqing's head. So fast, little Qing was taken aback. She raised her staff to block the attack. Bang! The primordial emperor's yarn's palm hit the black rod in Xiaoqing's hand. The violent and powerful force shook Xiaoqing down from the sky. If he hadn't used the Sky Ascension secret technique, he wouldn't have been able to hold the black rod tightly and would have been sent flying. Even so, blood still seeped out of Xiaoqing's hand. His hands that were holding the black rod were cracked and blood was seeping out of the wounds. "Let's go." Xiaoqing immediately crushed a jade talisman given to him by Old Tortoise. A ball of demonic light immediately shrouded him and he immediately crossed the void and left this place. What? The primordial emperor's yarn of the East had never thought that his opponent would retreat just like that. By the time he reacted, Xiaoqing had already disappeared. Damn it! The primordial emperor Xian roared. His opponent had already escaped and he couldn't chase after him even if he wanted to. After a while, the primordial emperor Xian returned to the Emperor Xian's palace. The Emperor Xian's palace was suspended above the celestial city. It was the place where the primordial emperor Xian issued his orders. When the primordial emperor Xian returned to the Emperor Xian's palace, the immortal soldiers and generals outside cheered. Tens of thousands of miles away, little Qing directly fell out of the void and landed on a short mountain. He felt a lingering fear in his heart. The reason why the celestial emperor of the Eastern Earth was able to control the Eastern Earth and become a hegemon was not because of luck, but because he had the cultivation base and strength to dominate an area. Primordial Emperor Xiaoqing glanced in the direction of the celestial city's Emperor Xian's palace, then turned around and left. It was no small matter that the primordial Emperor Xian had so many incarnations. It should be known that if the real body of the primordial Emperor Xian couldn't be found, no matter how many incarnations were killed, it wouldn't pose a threat to the primordial Emperor Xian's life. Xiaoqing found a city nearby and left the east with the help of the transportation formation platform. Then, he returned to the demon race's ancestral court. The primordial Emperor Xian can actually have thousands of incarnations. The old tortoise was also shocked when he heard the news. The primordial Emperor Xian that he had killed in the past was definitely an incarnation. It was really outrageous. The primordial Emperor Xian was too cunning and cowardly. It was definitely not an easy task to deal with such a person. One should know that no one knew where the real body of the primordial Emperor Xian was, so there was no way to start. Just when the heavenly world was about to descend into chaos, the human world also welcomed a great change, especially with the disappearance of the heavenly wrath and the reappearance of the ancient road to heaven. I haven't found them yet. In the eastern domain, in the Wanxiang city, Ji Yufei said to the Iron Blood Daoist in a somewhat anxious tone. There was still no trace of the Red Dragon and the others. The unold demon child was a demon race saint sovereign. Moreover, he had the Black Tortoise seal. If he wanted to hide, no one would be able to find him. Continue to search until you find them. Ji Yufei directly ordered the Iron Blood Daoist. Yes. The Iron Blood Daoist accepted the order and left. Chapter 2631. A masked woman in white had arrived outside Wanxiang city and asked to see Ji Yufei. The divine general guarding the city did not dare to delay and immediately came to report. Someone wants to see me. Ji Yufei was a little surprised. Who would come to see him at this time? Could it be that his missing fellow disciples had found this place? Thinking of this, Ji Yufei could not help but be shocked. It must be known that during the great calamity of the Taishen sect, the masters had died in battle to protect the disciples. The sacrifice of the masters had allowed many disciples to escape. The disciples of the Supreme Profound sect who had escaped the calamity had all disappeared. Ji Yufei believed that his fellow disciples were still alive and had not died. Just like Li Lingfeng, they were hiding somewhere in the human realm, waiting for an opportunity. Soon, the woman was invited in by the divine general guarding the city. When Ji Yufei saw this woman, he was a little surprised. This woman was not a disciple of the Taishen sect, but someone unexpected. Greetings, Master. The woman in white bowed to Ji Yufei. When Yang and Ji Yuling saw this, they could not help but be surprised. When did Ji Yufei accept another female disciple? How come they did not know about it? You are from the Yarotai ancient Holy Land. Ji Yufei sat high up in the hall and looked at the woman in white standing in the hall. His expression became a little strange. He had already guessed the origin of this woman. Yes, Master. I want to see my husband, Ji Yuzhong. The woman in white directly stated the purpose of her visit. Eldest brother's path companion. When Ji Yuling heard this, her eyes suddenly lit up. Ji Yuzhong's path companion was the virgin of the Yarotai ancient Holy Land. She should have been the virgin of the previous generation. The virgin of the Yarotai ancient Holy Land? Yang also understood at this time. She had also heard of the absurd things that Ji Yuzhong had done in the past. Back then, Jiyu Zhong had stolen the virgin of the Yaotai ancient Holy Land and made her his wife. This matter caused a great uproar in the world of cultivation at that time. It must be known that there were definitely many people who admired the virgin of the Yaotai ancient Holy Land. This was especially true for the young elites from the ancient desolate factions. They gritted their teeth and hated Jiyu Zhong to the core. Many of them even went up to challenge him. Although this matter had caused a huge ruckus, the rice had already been cooked. Even the Yaotai ancient Holy Land could only let it go. In fact, to a large extent, the Yaotai ancient Holy Land had misgivings about Jiyu Fei. Back then, Jiyu Fei had nearly flipped over the Spirit Mountain at the eastern gate of West Earth and caused a huge commotion. As one of the powers of the ancient desolate, the Jadistage ancient sacred ground naturally knew about it. Even the Buddhist sect of West Earth had been disgraced by Jiyu Fei, so the Jadistage ancient sacred ground didn't want to provoke this malefic star. However, when the Yaotai saintess returned to the Yaotai ancient Holy Land, she was placed under house arrest and it was difficult for Jiyu Zhong and the Yaotai saintess to meet again. "You want to see Jiyu Zhong?" Jiyu Fei asked non-committally. "Yes, please allow it, master," Yaoji said. In front of Jiyu Fei, she didn't dare to be negligent and performed the etiquette of a disciple. It should be known that Jiyu Fei was a ruthless man of his generation who dared to challenge the powers of the ancient desolate. In particular, Jiyu Fei had 4 divine weapons of the Supreme Great Path and a human emperor divine weapon. All the powers of the ancient desolate wanted to rope in Jiyu Fei and form an alliance with Jiyu Fei. This time, Yaoji didn't come to see Jiyu Fei just to see Jiyu Zhong. The Yaotai ancient Holy Land was clear that if they formed an alliance with Jiyu Fei, their chances of survival in the coming chaotic world would increase greatly. "Jiyu Zhong can't come out to see you yet. I'm afraid I'll have to disappoint you," Jiyu Fei thought for a while and said. He vaguely guessed that Yaoji's purpose in coming to see him was not simple, but he didn't want to think too much at this time. Is he badly injured?" Yaoji said with a trembling voice. When Jiyu Zhong was going through the tribulation, she was watching from afar and knew that Jiyu Zhong had suffered an unimaginable blow. In particular, the last attack from the demon hidden in the fire cave had almost caused Jiyu Zhong's soul to scatter. After all, Yaoji and Jiyu Zhong were husband and wife, and they had a precious son, Jiyu Xiaofeng. They had spent an unforgettable time together. It was impossible to say that Yaoji had no affection for Jiyu Zhong. Jiyu Fei nodded. "What?" Then Yaoji became nervous. "You don't need to worry. My disciple won't die so easily. Jiyu Zhong is still recovering, but I don't know when he will come out," Jiyu Fei explained. Yaoji was Jiyu Zhong's wife after all, and she was qualified to know his situation. "Master, can I have a look at him, even from a distance?" Yaoji's eyes became wet. This, Jiyu Fei pondered. One must know that his inner world was not ordinary. He didn't want too many people to know about his secret. His inner world was undoubtedly his trump card. Of course, saint-level experts could create their own inner world, but Jiyu Fei's inner world was different. "Just agree with her." Yang who was sitting beside Jiyu Fei, suddenly said to Jiyu Fei. Father, Jiyu Ling also looked at Jiyu Fei, hoping that he would agree. "All right." Jiyu Fei nodded. Yaoji was overjoyed. Jiyu Fei stretched out his right hand to grab Yaoji. In his big hand, the void twisted, and a space passage appeared. A heaven-devouring power instantly covered Yaoji, who was standing in the hall. Yaoji was startled, but she didn't resist. She let the power cover her and pull her into the space passage. In the next moment, Yaoji appeared in the sky above a divine land surrounded by immortal spiritual qi. Yaoji was stunned by everything in front of her. She sensed the extraordinariness of this place. The ground was lush and verdant, and the roars of unknown fierce beasts came from time to time. Swoosh! In the distance, a golden light flashed. It swooped down from the clouds and grabbed a black flood dragon from a deep pool. Then, it flew to a mountain and ate it. Seeing this, Yaoji was even more frightened. At this moment, 2 figures appeared by Yaoji's side. "Greetings, Master's wife, junior sister," Seeing Yang and Jiyu Ling, Yaoji hurried to salute Yang and then nodded to Jiyu Ling, "Follow me." Yang nodded and said, "Yes." Yaoji said happily. Then, Yang led the way and flew into the depths of the godly land. Along the way, Yaoji felt as if she had entered a barbaric world. There were no human beings here, only some excessively powerful wild beasts roaming about. Chapter 2632. Yang took Yaoji and Guling to the depths of this divine land. Yaoji was shocked by what she saw along the way. She had guessed that this divine land was Jiyu Fei's inner world. It was amazing that he could develop an inner world to such an extent. Even the ancestral court of the Yarotai ancient Holy Land couldn't compare to this place. This was definitely a holy land for cultivation. It was impossible not to improve one's cultivation base while cultivating here. "Sister-in-law, don't worry. You'll see eldest brother soon," Guling said. "Little junior sister, your eldest brother," Yaoji wanted to say something but stopped. "Sister-in-law, don't worry. My father is here. Nothing will happen to eldest brother." Guling comforted her. "I hope so," Yaoji said. At this moment, they were approaching the core area of this divine land. Beams of spiritual light constantly flashed in the void. It was spiritual energy visible to the naked eye. The core area of the divine land was filled with vast spiritual energy. Many divine springs of life decorated this area. The sky above the biggest spring had thousands of auspicious lights and surging immortal light. Among the endless essence chi of life, there seemed to be living creatures looming. This is the real immortal spirit land. Yaoji was shocked to see such a scene. She had never thought that Jiyu Fei's inner world could have such a scene. Is that the legendary divine spring of life? Yaoji was petrified when she saw the spring that was absorbing the essence chi of heaven and earth. It was a legendary thing that was born in the endless death. Even the Yarotai ancient Holy Land didn't have such a divine spring. However, Jiyu Fei's inner world had so many divine springs of life. Moreover, divine herbs and even sacred herbs could be seen everywhere. The sacred herbs rooted around the springs were even more extraordinary, showing signs of transforming into immortal divine herbs. That's, in the misty light, Yaoji seemed to see the shadow of a dragon flash and disappear. At the same time, she smelled a special medicinal fragrance. "Ah, that little dragon is here. Mother, I'll go catch it." Guling cheered. With a sway of her body, she immediately gave chase. "Silly child, that's the ancestral dragon's divine medicine. Even your father couldn't catch it, let alone you," Yang said with a smile. "Ancestral dragon divine medicine. Mistress, you said that the dragon shadow just now was the ancestral dragon divine medicine." Yaoji was shocked to the extreme. The ancestral dragon divine medicine was the legendary immortal divine medicine. Even a supreme being would be jealous of the immortal divine medicine. Even for those supremes from the ancient times, not every single one of them had an immortal godly herb. One must know that an immortal godly herb was simply too rare. This stalk of godly medicine is very cunning. Not everyone can catch it," Yang said. She knew that her precious daughter was already thinking about the stalk of godly medicine, but she also knew that Jiyu Ling would not be able to catch it. She no longer paid any attention to Jiyu Ling. In this godly land, Jiyu Ling was not in any danger. Is it really an immortal godly herb? Yaoji couldn't believe it. Jiyu Fei's foundation was much deeper than she had imagined. She had to re-evaluate Jiyu Fei. He actually had an immortal godly herb. Yang smiled and didn't say anything else. At this time, a beam of divine light appeared in front of them. It was a divine light condensed from the essence of life, shooting up into the sky. Yang stopped. Yaoji was a little numb. In front of them was a huge heavenly spring of life. It was no longer a spring, but a lake, a heavenly lake of life. A figure was sitting cross-legged above the heavenly spring of life, bathing in the divine light of life. Jiyu Zhong is recovering well. He should be fully recovered soon. Yang couldn't help but nod when she saw the figure sitting cross-legged above the heavenly lake. Under the nourishment of the essence of life, Jiyu Zhong's recovery was very fast. Jiyu Zhong, Yaoji wanted to go forward, but she restrained herself in the end. She could sense Ji Yuzhong's condition. His breath was steady, and his life was not in danger. Ji Yufei couldn't let his eldest disciple die. He would save Ji Yuzhong at all costs. Ji Yufei had a lot of cultivation resources, so he could definitely save Ji Yuzhong. Yaoji recalled what she had seen in this divine land. She knew that saving Ji Yuzhong might be difficult for others, but it shouldn't be a problem for Ji Yufei. All right, you've met him. What's your next plan? Yang said to Yaoji. Ma, can I stay here with him? Yaoji thought for a while and said, What? Yang couldn't help but feel very surprised when she heard that. You have to stay here. Yang pondered. This was a problem, and she couldn't make the decision herself. She had to ask Ji Yufei first. After all, this was Ji Yufei's inner world. Ma, is there something wrong? I think I should go out. Yaoji said. All right, since you want to stay here, then stay here. Yang took out a jade talisman and gave it to Yaoji. If you want to go out, just break this jade talisman. Yaoji took the jade talisman. Thank you, Ma. Yaoji bowed to Yang happily. All right, I won't stay here with you. Yang said and went to find Gulling. Yaoji, on the other hand, sat cross-legged on a big rock beside the lake. Yang didn't find Gulling, and she didn't know where she had gone after the ancestral dragon divine herb. Yang walked around the core area of the divine land, but she didn't see Gulling. Where did that girl run off to? Yang shook her head and broke a jade talisman, leaving this divine land. She then appeared in the main hall of the city lord's mansion in Wanxiang City. Not long after Yang left, Gulling came out of nowhere. Cunning little dragon, I must catch you. Gulling gritted her teeth and said, Where did you hide? Little dragon, come out. I have something good here. Gulling flipped her right hand and a divine stone shrouded in spirit light appeared in her hand. This was a rare divine stone with specks of light faintly discernible on its surface. It looked like a star. This was a rare divine material, the starstone. Of course, it couldn't be compared to the immortal divine material, the 9-heaven star iron. However, this starstone was a divine material associated with the 9-heaven star iron. It contained a trace of immortal substance. Swoosh! When Gulling took out the starstone, a little dragon rushed over from afar. It was a Xiaoqing dragon that was only 1 foot long. This Xiaoqing dragon was not ordinary. It had a pair of ancestral dragon horns on its head. Little dragon, come, this is for you. Chapter 2633. Ji Yuling wanted to use the cosmic stone to lure the ancestral dragon herb out, but it was eventually lured out by her. She once heard from her father, Ji Yufei, that the ancestral dragon divine medicine was very interested in the immortal substance. If the ancestral dragon divine medicine was lured by the divine materials that contained the immortal substance, it might be possible to capture it. Of course, Ji Yufei didn't need to capture the ancestral dragon herb, but Ji Yuling was very playful and had always wanted to capture this legendary immortal herb. Little dragon, be good. Come over to big sister. Ji Yuling waved at the Xiaoqing dragon and slowly approached the Xiaoqing dragon. The Xiaoqing dragon seemed to be very annoyed. It stared at the cosmic stone in Ji Yuling's hand and looked at the approaching Ji Yuling. One could tell that the ancestral dragon herb wanted the cosmic stone in Ji Yuling's hand, but it also knew that Ji Yuling had always wanted to capture it. What are you trying to do? I won't fall for it. A tender voice suddenly rang out in Gulling's mind, just like an innocent child's voice. What? Ji Yuling stopped and her face was filled with shock. The ancestral dragon herb actually had its own consciousness and was a complete life form. Mph, you're that bad guy's daughter. You want to capture me? The childish voice rang in Ji Yuling's mind once again. What bad guy's daughter? Ji Yuling was startled, but she soon understood that the Xiaoqing dragon was probably referring to her father, Ji Yufei. She didn't think that Ji Yufei was actually a bad guy in the eyes of the Xiaoqing dragon. Little dragon, my father is not a bad guy. Do you know that the outside world is in chaos? You'll be captured and eaten alive if you stay outside. Ji Yuling said seriously. What? The world is changing again? The Xiaoqing dragon seemed to be shocked. It had lived for countless years and naturally knew many secrets of the world. Moreover, it had once followed a Zhizun. Those fellas are coming back again. The Xiaoqing dragon seemed to know something and it seemed to be afraid. Don't be afraid, they won't hurt you. Jiyu Ling said. The 3 realms and 6 Daos are in chaos. I'm afraid this place isn't safe either. The Xiaoqing dragon panicked. Little Long Long, what are you afraid of? My father will protect you. Don't worry. Guling comforted the ancestral dragon divine medicine. Little girl, what do you know? This life is different from the rest. Xiaoqing dragon wanted to say something but hesitated. Then tell me, what's different about this life? Jiyu Ling's eyes lit up. She knew that the ancestral dragon divine medicine definitely knew something that she didn't. It might be related to the great secret of the heaven and earth. Your cultivation is too weak. What's the point of telling you? After saying that, the little azure dragon disappeared into the mist in a flash. It was nowhere to be seen. Hey, Xiao Long Long, don't go. When Jiyu Ling saw that the Xiaoqing dragon had disappeared without a trace, she could not help but be shocked. The ancestral dragon divine medicine must know that something is about to happen. This is no small matter. Jiyu Ling's expression turned solemn. She had to tell her father about this. With the change of the heaven and earth, those supreme existences that had retreated would definitely make a comeback. If one knew oneself and one's enemy, they would be able to win every battle. Without hesitation, Jiyu Ling crushed a jade talisman in her hand. A ball of divine light rushed out from the hand that she used to crush the talisman, instantly enveloping her. Swish. The void trembled. The ball of divine light shrunk and instantly disappeared into the void. Jiyu Ling's figure also disappeared along with the ball of divine light. When Jiyu Ling disappeared, the shadow of a dragon appeared where she was just a moment ago. Another reincarnation. This time, perhaps it will be different. The Xiaoqing dragon that was formed by the ancestral dragon divine medicine mumbled to itself. The ancestral dragon divine medicine could not cultivate to become a supreme expert. The heavens were fair. The immortal divine medicine had an endless lifespan and could coexist with the heaven and earth. However, the price for the immortal divine medicine to have an endless lifespan was that it could not cultivate to become a supreme expert. Although the immortal divine medicine could transform and travel, it did not have any powerful techniques. Once it encountered a powerful expert, it would be hard to escape and would be captured. As the one and only ancestral dragon divine medicine in the world, if it was captured, it would have a tragic ending. It would be imprisoned and forced to continuously refine the immortal divine medicine. Some experts even wanted to directly consume the immortal divine medicine and refine the immortal divine medicine to increase their cultivation level, allowing them to have an endless lifespan. However, those who obtained the immortal godly medicine wouldn't actually consume it. Most of them would carry it with them in case of emergencies. The ancestral dragon divine medicine had existed for countless years. This 1-foot-long Xiaoqing dragon was the real antique. No one could compare to it in terms of knowledge. It was a living history book, recording all kinds of great secrets of the world from ancient times until now. Of course, the ancestral dragon divine medicine could not record everything. Its ability was limited. Sigh, it seems like I can only live one day at a time. The ancestral dragon divine medicine felt helpless. It then walked into the heavenly spring of life and immersed itself in the liquid. At this moment, a figure walked over from afar. This person was a woman in white, an otherworldly and refined woman. This woman's body was covered by a veil. The ancestral dragon divine medicine, the woman in white murmured to herself. Her eyes lit up and became as bright as the stars. This woman in white was Yaoji. She had followed the immortal divine medicine to this area, but she did not hear the conversation between Jiyu Ling and the ancestral dragon divine medicine. One should know that the communication between the ancestral dragon divine medicine and Jiyu Ling was through divine sense. If only I could get my hands on this divine medicine. Thinking of this, Yaoji's breathing quickened. She knew very well what it meant to get her hands on an immortal divine medicine. However, she quickly gave up on this idea. One should know that this was Jiyu Fei's inner world. She knew that she was Jiyu Zhong's wife. Even if she stole the immortal divine medicine, Jiyu Fei would not kill her. However, if she did that, her relationship with Jiyu Zhong would be broken. Rumble. While Yaoji was lost in thought, a thunderous sound suddenly came from the core area of this world. An extremely powerful aura spread out from it. Feeling this aura, Yaoji was shocked. She was very familiar with this aura because it belonged to her husband. Jiyu Zhong has recovered. Yaoji was shocked, but then she was overjoyed. She turned around and rushed into the depths of this world. Chapter 2634. The miraculousness of the ancestral dragon medicine was nothing new to Jiyu Fei. It had to be known that the godly medicine of immortality was definitely the longest living being in the world. It was a miracle in the world. Some people guessed that there might be a great secret behind the godly medicine of immortality. It had to be known that countless geniuses had appeared throughout the countless years. These people only had one goal in cultivation, and that was to become a supreme expert, undying and indestructible. The godly medicine of immortality seemed to be innately undying, which made everyone extremely envious. Many people had researched the godly medicine of immortality, but most of them ended up with nothing. Jiyu Fei was also very interested in these undying beings, but he also knew that the ancestral dragon medicine of immortality would not reveal its secret so easily. In reality, even the ancestral dragon medicine itself probably did not know why it had become an undying being. Jiyu Fei did not say much about what Jiyu Ling had said. Jiyu Ling entered Jiyu Fei's inner world again. She was unwilling to give up and wanted to capture the sly Xiaoqing dragon. Jiyu Fei only smiled at Jiyu Ling's desire to capture the ancestral dragon medicine. He did not deny it. Yang and her daughter could enter Jiyu Fei's inner world at will. Jiyu Fei had no secrets for them, but other people did not receive such treatment. At this moment, a supreme saint ruler's aura appeared in Jiyu Fei's inner world. Endless essence of the world began to gather towards the depths of the world. A figure sat in the air above the largest spring in the depths of the divine land, shining with millions of resplendent golden lights. It was like a golden sun was fixed there, illuminating the entire world in gold. The saint ruler's aura was vast and mighty, causing all living beings in the region to be terrified. At this moment, a Xiaoqing dragon stuck its head out from behind a boulder beside the spring. It directly ignored the saint ruler's aura that descended from the sky. First senior brother, on a mountain peak 1,000 miles away from the divine spring stood a figure. This person was Jiyu Ling. A powerful pressure of a saint ruler came from the front, causing Jiyu Ling's mind to tremble. In another area, Yaoji was also standing on a mountain, looking at the figure in the distant sky. The divine spring of life really has the miraculous effect of turning something rotten into something magical. It's simply stealing the fortune of heaven and earth. While Yaoji was pleasantly surprised, she was also shocked. Jiyu Zhong had suffered an unimaginable injury. If he was an ordinary person, he would have perished already. However, he was Jiyu Zhong. Thus, it was difficult for him to die even if he wanted to. Rumble. The void trembled and rays of bright light rushed over from all directions. All of them entered the figure above the spring. The golden light coming from the figure gradually became stronger. 9 golden Tao patterns appeared on his body, and his Tao laws became even more complete. The aura of the Great Path surrounded him. The Great Path of metal that Jiyu Zhong cultivated was transforming into a flawless Great Path. After Jiyu Zhong's cultivation broke through to the Saint Ruler realm, the Tao laws of the Great Path of metal were perfected. Of course, it was impossible for him to cultivate a flawless Great Path. It should be known that those who could cultivate a Great Path to perfection were the legendary supreme beings. If he could cultivate a flawless Great Path, then Jiyu Zhong would become a supreme being. The essence of the world in Jiyu Fei's inner world was dense, providing endless essence for Jiyu Zhong's reborn Saint Ruler martial body. Soon, the aura of a Saint Ruler on Jiyu Zhong's body increased rapidly. Even Yaoji could not bear it and had to retreat further away. On the mountain peak 1,000 miles away, Jiyu Ling was not affected by the aura of a Saint Ruler. She had the Emperor Divine Mace with her, which could dissolve the aura of a saint ruler. Several hours later, a long roar was heard, spreading across the entire divine land. Countless creatures were terrified. Master has come out of seclusion. Meng Long rushed out from where the Meng family was and looked at the depths of this world in shock. As Ji Yuzhong's disciple, he was naturally very familiar with Ji Yuzhong's aura. Meng Long knew from Ji Yuling that Ji Yuzhong was in seclusion in the depths of this world. With such a commotion, it was obvious that Ji Yuzhong was about to come out. Meng Long quickly rushed down from the sky and returned to the valley. He gathered his clansmen and prepared to welcome Ji Yuzhong. At this time, in the core area of the Divine Land, endless spiritual qi was vast and mighty. All the spiritual qi of the world was gathering here. Spiritual light that was visible to the naked eye flashed continuously. The entire core area of the Divine Land was shrouded in a layer of hazy spiritual light, like a land of immortals. In fact, the area where the divine spring of life was located was originally a land of immortals. Even if one searched the entire 3 realms and 6 paths, there would not be more than 3 such places. Just as Ji Yuzhong was absorbing the spiritual qi of the world, a figure silently appeared on the mountain peak where Ji Yuling was. Father, Ji Yuling was almost startled by the sudden appearance of Ji Yufei. Very good. I was just worrying about not having a helper. Ji Yuzhong's recovery at this time couldn't be better. Ji Yufei looked into the depths of the world with a profound look in his eyes. Father, you're finally going to take action. Who's your opponent? Ji Yuling's spirit was lifted when she heard this. Ever since she broke through to the quasi-sage realm, she had not fought with anyone yet. As a warrior, fighting with others, even fighting to the death, was also a very important part of cultivation. It should be known that warriors were born to be warriors. You only know how to cause trouble. Ji Yufei rubbed Ji Yuling's head dotingly. Father, I'm a quasi-sage after all. Ji Yuling protested unhappily. Got it. Our little darling is the strongest. Hee hee. Ji Yufei burst out laughing. Father, Ji Yuling was not going to let it go. However, in Ji Yufei's eyes, Ji Yuling would always be a child. Even if she became a sage in the future, nothing would change. When Ji Yuzhong came out of seclusion, a little monk who looked like he was carved out of jade walked out from an ancient temple on the West Earth's Buddhist sect's Spirit Mountain. If Ji Yufei were to see this little monk, he would definitely be shocked. This little monk was Fan Xiu. It's time to make a trip to the East Domain. The little monk Fan Xiu muttered to himself with a tender voice. If one didn't know his background, they wouldn't be able to guess that this fella was the antique that old tortoise dug out from the tomb of the Buddhist lord. The little monk left the spiritual mountain. Just as he was about to leave, an old monk appeared in front of the ancient temple. Finally left. Chapter 2635. Fan Xiu left Spirited Mountain and went to the eastern region through the interdomain teleportation formation. The appearance of the ancient road to heaven made all the old antiques restless. Some experts who had just woken up from their long slumber rushed to the eastern region. All the superpowers on the Ting-Long continent had sent their experts to the eastern region. Now, the eastern region had attracted the attention of all the experts on the ancestral star of the soaring dragon continent. Swoosh! In the depths of the eastern domain's mountains, a resplendent Buddhist light rushed out from an ancient temple. Then, the Buddhist light gradually dimmed. A little monk, who looked like he was carved from jade, pushed open the rotten wooden door and walked out of the ancient temple. Eastern region, the little monk raised his head and looked at the sky. His eyes were incomparably deep. It was hard to imagine that a young monk would have such a gaze. The little monk suddenly smiled. Then, he turned his right hand and a purple gold arms bowl appeared in his hand. Then, he left the ancient temple. Superpowers like the Buddhism sect of the West Earth had secret teleportation formations in all the major regions. At this time, many experts had come to the eastern region or were on their way. The sky market was definitely very lively at this time. In the depths of the sky market, there was an ancient road stained with blood that extended into the endless void. At the end of the ancient road was the legendary Heaven Realm. Although countless people wanted to enter the Heaven Realm, When an Empyrean saint died on the ancient road to heaven, it shocked everyone. No one would step on the ancient road even if they knew that they would lose their lives. However, Empyrean saints were arrogant. They all thought that they were not weaker than others. There were some Empyrean saints who did not believe in the untruth and finally stepped on the ancient road. However, this Empyrean saint was no exception. He also died on the ancient road. But this time, there was a great battle on the ancient road. A hairy arm fell from the ancient road. It was an arm that was more than 10 jong long. It belonged to an unknown living being. There was a terrifying and ferocious aura lingering around the arm. The fiendish aura emanating from that unknown creature's arm was enough to make even a saint's heart palpitate. It was hard to imagine the intensity of the battle at the end of the ancient path. During the great battle, the entire ancient path was trembling, cracks appearing one after another. However, the Tao platform appeared at the crucial moment, stabilizing the entire ancient path. Otherwise, the entire ancient path would have collapsed. Although that ancient saint had fallen on the ancient path, it also gave people a glimmer of hope. Although the ancient path was dangerous, it wasn't invincible. The unknown creature was also injured. I heard that Jiang Renhuang, who has disappeared for countless years, has returned to the Jiang family. We should go and ask Jiang Renhuang for help. The last human sovereign of the primordial era has returned. Someone had revealed such a big secret. It was really shocking. Jiang Renhuang was the last Renhuang to obtain the fruit of the Renhuang path during the Untainted Land era. However, before the Untainted Land calamity, this Renhuang had disappeared. No one knew that Jiang Renhuang had fallen into a trap and had been in a deep sleep for countless years. HMPH, who could ask Jiang Renhuang for help? Someone said disdainfully. That was a human sovereign of a generation. Who could ask him for help? Actually, if that person from the Dongfang family is willing to help, we might be able to eliminate the threat on the ancient path. Someone suggested. That's right. Although Ba Huang hasn't obtained the fruit of the Renhuang path, he is infinitely close to that level. With his help, we can naturally kill the unknown creature on the ancient path. Someone who was on good terms with the Dongfang family said. In my opinion, even Ji Yu Fei can kill his way to the heaven realm from the ancient path. Someone who was on bad terms with the Dongfang family said disapprovingly. Chen-ph, Ji Yu Fei wants to be mentioned in the same breath as Ba Huang? He doesn't have the qualifications. Someone said disdainfully. Is that so? Do you think you have the qualifications? Someone said tit for tat. Outside the ancient road to heaven, the atmosphere was filled with the smell of gunpowder. Some people who didn't get along with each other almost started a fight. However, both sides held back. At this time, no one wanted to complicate the issue. At noon, a little monk in a white monk robe entered the sky market and went directly to the ancient road to heaven. He stared at the ancient road to heaven, thinking about something. Where did this little monk come from? Someone immediately noticed the little monk holding the purple gold arms bowl. The Buddhism of the West Earth. Why is there a little monk here? Someone said in shock. However, when the saints and ancient saints near the ancient road to heaven saw the little monk, they couldn't help but shiver. He's here again. An ancient saint said to himself. An ancient saint muttered. During the great calamity of the primordial era, someone had seen the figure of this little monk. This little monk looked very young, but he was definitely an unimaginably powerful existence. Some people said that the little monk was the incarnation of the ancient Buddha, but no one could prove it. As long as this guy appears, nothing good will happen. Some ancient saints frowned when they saw the little monk. They thought of many things. The name Fan Xiu was definitely a jinx in the distant past. Rumble, not long after the little monk appeared, an extremely powerful aura appeared in the distance and quickly approached the ancient road to heaven. Sage Monarch, sensing this aura, the saints and ancient saints near the ancient road to heaven couldn't help but change their expressions. Sage monarchs were existences that surpassed the saints. Little bald donkey, you still dare to show up? A loud shout came from the distance. A golden figure that looked like a metal deity came across the sky and rushed towards the little monk in front of the ancient road to heaven. Hearing the person calling the little monk little bald donkey, even the ancient saints were startled. "Nephew, I am your elder after all. It's better to show some respect." The little monk held the purple gold alms bowl in his hand and turned around with a smile. "I will respect you, big bald head." The person directly threw a punch towards the little monk. His fist blossomed with a dazzling golden light, causing everyone to be unable to open their eyes. The powerful strength of a saint king suddenly erupted, causing the surrounding space to shatter under the pressure of the golden fist, and even the chaotic chi was forced out. Seeing the power of this fist, everyone was incomparably shocked. At the same time, they also knew who it was. That person was actually the eldest disciple of Jiyu Fei, Jiyu Zhong. How long has it been? To think that he would be able to recover so quickly. How did Jiyu Fei do it? Everyone found it hard to imagine. One should know that when Jiyu Zhong went through the tribulation, he suffered an unimaginable injury. This was something that everyone had personally witnessed. Chapter 2636. Jiyu Zhong's appearance shocked everyone. It should be known that when he was undergoing the Saint King tribulation, he suffered an unimaginable injury. His body and soul were almost destroyed. However, with Jiyu Fei's help, Jiyu Zhong would not die. However, even if he did not die, it would not be easy for him to recover completely. Many people were curious as to what method Jiyu Fei used to help Jiyu Zhong recover in such a short period of time. Rumble, the heavens and earth shook. Jiyu Zhong directly displayed the powerful battle strength of a saint king. He punched through the void and his golden fist carried a terrifying destructive power as it smashed towards Fan Xiu. "Nephew Jiyu, come to the alms bowl." Little monk Fan Xiu took out the purple gold alms bowl in his hand. A Buddha's light radiated from the purple gold alms bowl. A golden vortex appeared in the purple gold alms bowl, generating a power that could devour the heavens. It wanted to devour Jiyu Zhong into the purple gold alms bowl. "Go to the alms bowl!" Jiyu Zhong roared angrily. His fist shook and an even more powerful force erupted from his fist. It actually dispersed the devouring power that erupted from the purple gold alms bowl. Buzz! The purple gold alms bowl vibrated. Fan Xiu only felt his hand shake and the purple gold alms bowl in his hand almost flew out. "Ayo, nephew Jiyu, why are you so fierce?" Fan Xiu laughed and soared into the sky. In an instant, he arrived high up in the sky. Naturally, he also dodged Jiyu Zhong's full-powered punch. Boom! The ground sank, and the entire area looked like it was about to sink from Jiyu Zhong's punch. Dust rose high into the sky, and a large pit appeared where Fan Xiu had been standing. Cracks spread in all directions. Everyone who witnessed this scene was shocked. One should know that this was the Sky Market. It was not an ordinary place. The Sky Market was formed by the fragments that fell from the Heaven Realm. The Sky Market still had the laws of the Heaven Realm. Although it was not complete, the Sky Market was still much more stable than the human realm. Not to mention a Saint King, even a Saint Venerable could not destroy the Sky Market. However, the battle strength that Jiyu Zhong displayed was too shocking. Little bald donkey Fan Xiu, Jiyu Zhong's battle intent surged as he attacked the little monk once again. He extended his hand and a huge golden hand immediately appeared, enveloping the entire area. Heaven-covering palm. Up in the sky, little monk Fan Xiu still had a smile on his face, as if he did not take Jiyu Zhong seriously at all. Rumble, the golden hand radiated with the terrifying might of a saint ruler, crushing the surrounding space. Cracks that resembled black lightning constantly flickered beneath the hand. "Looks like it. However, it's impossible for an attack of this level to defeat me. Nephew Jiyu, I advise you not to waste your energy," Fan Xiu said. As he spoke, little monk Fan Xiu activated the purple gold alms bowl in his hand. A powerful Buddhist power surged out of the alms bowl and sucked the golden hand that was pressing down from the sky into the alms bowl. Jiyu Zhong was extremely shocked. One should know that he was a saint ruler, the king of the saints. The heaven-covering palm that he had unleashed with the cultivation of a saint ruler was actually easily countered by little monk Fan Xiu. Haha, nephew Jiyu, it's better for you to go back and ask your elders to come and catch up with me. Little monk Fan Xiu laughed and said in a childish voice. You dare to look down on me? Jiyu Zhong was instantly enraged. Haha, nephew Jiyu, I'm not looking down on you. You really can't do it. Little monk Fan Xiu said. He did not expect that an old friend would appear and attack him as soon as he entered the sky market and arrived at the ancient road to heaven. Little monk Fan Xiu was shocked that Jiyu Zhong's cultivation had actually broken through to the saint ruler realm. One should know that even Jiyu Zhong's cultivation had risen to the saint ruler realm. Wouldn't that mean that Jiyu Fei's cultivation was even higher and his battle strength was even stronger? How dare you say that I can't do it? I'll kill you right now, Jiyu Zhong said angrily. Jiyu Zhong said angrily. As he spoke, he flipped his right hand and a golden pagoda appeared in his hand. After that, the golden pagoda flew up from his hand and became as large as a mountain. It pressed down on Fan Xiu's head. Countless runes appeared on the surface of the golden divine tower, and an astonishing power of the divine path erupted from within the divine tower, locking down the entire space. Little monk Fan Xiu raised his head and looked up. He was still smiling. Buzz. The purple gold arms bowl in little monk Fan Xiu's hand vibrated again. The powerful Buddhist power surged out from the purple gold arms bowl and a swastika symbol vaguely appeared in the purple gold arms bowl. The Buddhist power that surged out from the purple gold arms bowl directly broke through the sealing power of the golden pagoda and shook the golden pagoda directly. What? Jiyu Zhong was truly moved this time. After all, the golden pagoda was a saint artifact gifted to him by his master. After his refinement, the golden pagoda was definitely the most powerful saint ruler Dao artifact. At this moment, 9 chains of order condensed from Buddhist power rushed out of the purple gold arms bowl. They directly wrapped around the golden pagoda in the sky and pulled it towards the purple gold arms bowl. Buzz. The golden divine pagoda kept buzzing, trying to break free from the restraints of the 9 Buddhist chains. However, the Buddhist chains displayed supreme power. The golden pagoda rapidly shrank before being pulled into the purple gold arms bowl. Haha, nephew, don't be so polite. Are you giving me a saint artifact? I'll gladly accept it. Little monk Fan Xiu smiled from ear to ear. Jiyu Zhong was so angry that he almost vomited blood. This guy was just too despicable. He had an urge to fight him to the death, but he still endured it in the end. Little monk Fan Xiu was not easy to deal with. Just now, he had come in a threatening manner. His main purpose was to test this despicable little monk. Jiyu Zhong knew that this despicable little monk was still unfathomable. Even with his current cultivation, he still could not test this guy's depth. Nephew, why aren't you attacking? Little monk Fan Xiu was surprised to see Jiyu Zhong stop. Fan Xiu, do you only know how to bully the younger generation? Just as Jiyu Zhong was fuming with anger, a voice suddenly came from afar. Then, a figure appeared in the sky. The show is about to start. The experts who were watching nearby were both surprised and happy to see the person who had come. Little monk Fan Xiu was going to be unlucky. After all, this person was infamous. It's you. Chapter 2637. Jiyu Fei. The smile on Fan Xiu's face finally disappeared when he saw who it was. You little baldy, you've finally appeared. Jiyu Fei took a step forward and instantly appeared in front of Fan Xiu. He didn't emit any powerful aura. He looked calm and composed, giving off an unfathomable feeling. Master. Jiyu Zhong hurried to greet him. At this moment, a few silhouettes appeared in the sky. They were the Iron Blood Daoist and the other subordinates of Jiyu Fei. Yang and her daughter were nowhere to be seen. Yaoji, on the other hand, was here. I can't believe that the insignificant little guy has grown to such a level. I was wrong about him back then. Little monk Fan Xiu looked at Jiyu Fei for a while before sighing. His eyesight couldn't be compared to that old turtle, which made him very unhappy. There are many things that you can't imagine. Jiyu Fei said. Why? Do you want to fight? Little monk Fan Xiu said. Ji Fei was definitely a rare opponent, and it made him itch to spar with him. His competitive spirit was aroused. Let's fight then. Ji Fei didn't show any weakness. He was very direct. He had wanted to fight against this little baldy for a long time. Especially with his current condition, he might be able to break through the shackles of his cultivation. Let's go to outer space. Fan Xiu didn't hesitate. He turned into a golden Buddhist light and soared into the sky, entering the endless starry sky. Ji Fei also soared into the sky and used the 8 desolation steps, displaying the extreme speed of 8 steps. With just one step, he arrived in the starry sky at an extremely fast speed. Everyone was shocked when they saw this. The two of them were indeed terrifyingly powerful. They instantly left the soaring dragon ancestral star and entered the starry sky. There were definitely many experts gathered near the ancient road to heaven. Some of them directly rushed into the starry sky to watch the battle. However, not everyone had the ability to enter the starry sky. Everyone wanted to watch the battle, but most of them could only watch helplessly. The Iron Blood Daoist and Ji Zhong glanced at each other before rushing into the starry sky. Rumble, the entire starry sky shook. Ji Fei and the little monk Fan Xiu started fighting. Terrifying waves spread out and the stars exploded. Ji Fei and Fan Xiu were really too strong. The two of them fought their way into the depths of the starry sky. Shua. Ji Fei extended his hand, and a star was immediately grabbed by him. He refined it into a divine bead and threw it at Fan Xiu. Buzz. The alms bowl in little monk Fan Xiu's hand buzzed. It directly sucked the bead into the alms bowl and refined it into dust. HMPH, again. Ji Fei extended his hands. This time around, he grabbed over a dozen stars and smashed them toward the little monk Fan Xiu. Ji Fei, is this all you have? As little monk Fan Xiu spoke, he still took out the purple gold alms bowl in his hand and stored the stars into it. This is just a warm-up. Ji Fei smiled. He naturally knew that such an attack would not be able to do anything to Fan Xiu. Fan Xiu's background was mysterious. Ji Fei did not dare to let his guard down. Is that so? Haha, then hurry up and use your true strength. Otherwise, you won't have the chance anymore. Fan Xiu said with a smile. Very well, then I will be more serious. Ji Fei smiled and said. It was as though two old friends were sparring. Boom. An extremely powerful wave of energy erupted from Ji Fei's body. The entire starry sky was shaking. Spatial cracks appeared in the void. Each crack was as huge as a mountain. Ji Fei stretched out his hand. A chaotic hand immediately appeared in the void and slapped at Fan Xiu. The huge hand enveloped the entire starry sky and the stars exploded under the chaotic hand. Bang! Fan Xiu stretched out his right hand and struck out the heavenly Buddha palm. The golden Buddha palm appeared under the starry sky and greeted Ji Fei's heaven-covering palm. The heaven-covering palm was a supreme combat skill created by the martial ancestor. Once the heaven-covering palm was unleashed, even those with a higher cultivation than Ji Fei would have to retreat. However, the heavenly Buddha palm was also a great Buddhist skill created by the supremacy. The ancient Buddhist lord was a ruthless character that shocked the entire era. Rumble. The two huge hands collided with each other and a thunderous sound erupted. It was extremely shocking. A terrifying wave of energy spread out, causing the stars in the entire starry sky to explode. This was a destructive storm. It spread out and affected the entire starry sky. The chaotic energy and Buddhist energy clashed. The void was collapsing and collapsing. Those who were watching the battle from afar were shocked. They quickly retreated further away. These two fellas, some powerful existences, couldn't help but frown when they saw this scene. After the power of heaven's wrath disappeared, beings above the sage level were no longer restrained and could attack without restraint. Beings above the sage level were different. Every time they made a move, they would use world-destroying techniques. How could the human realm withstand the torment of these people? If Ji Fei and Fan Xiu fought on the soaring dragon ancestral star, the entire eastern region would be affected and unimaginable damage would be caused. The two figures moved quickly in the starry sky like two apocalyptic deities. Wherever they passed, the void would shatter and the stars would explode. This battle attracted the attention of many people. Even the old ancestor of the Dongfang family was alarmed and appeared in the starry sky. Ji Yufei and the Dongfang family had a great enmity. The people of the Dongfang family naturally paid close attention to Ji Yufei. This little baldy, the Eastern Sky Tyrant King, looked pensive when he saw the little monk Fan Shou. The old ancestor of the Dongfang family seemed to have noticed something, but she couldn't be sure. After all, if her guess was correct, it would definitely be the greatest secret in the world. An old ancestor of the Zhao family also came. He drove a chariot and stopped in the distant sky. The battle between Ji Yufei and Fan Shou shook all directions. Almost all the experts who entered the eastern region were alarmed. Powerful figures kept appearing in the starry sky. Ji Yufei really lives up to his reputation. Someone exclaimed. A successor of martial arts. This guy is simply the reincarnation of a martial ancestor. Someone said. Many people whispered in the distant sky. They were all shocked by the combat strength displayed by Ji Yufei. However, the little monk Fan Shou was also very amazing. He could actually fight with Ji Yufei endlessly. His incomparable strength surprised everyone. Only those old antiques could guess the origin of the little monk Fan Shou. The others didn't know at all. However, some people had seen the little monk Fan Shou before. They knew that he was the same kind of person as the old turtle. They were both old ancestors who used underhanded methods. The enmity between Ji Yufei and the little monk Fan Shou was actually not a secret. One had to know that Ji Yufei had wreaked havoc in the West Earth Buddhism in the past. He almost overturned the holy land of the West Earth Buddhism, Mount Ling. The West Earth Buddhism had long regarded Ji Yufei as a demon. They were always thinking of sending him to the afterlife. How did the little monk Fan Shou become so powerful? In the distant sky, Ji Yuzhong was a little worried. The little monk Fan Shou was unfathomable. He wasn't an ordinary person. Even when he used his full strength, he couldn't test out this guy's strength. The great techniques of the Buddhist sect do have some skills. The Iron Blood Daoist side. At this time, the battle between Ji Yufei and the little monk Fan Shou was really going all out. Buzz. Ji Yufei separated his hands, and 9 primal chaos Dao patterns immediately rushed out from his body. They turned into 9 primal chaos sword lights and slashed at little monk Fan Shou. The extremely sharp sword chi spread out from the chaotic sword lights. The temperature of the surrounding void dropped rapidly under the impact of the sword chi. This was the divine sword of the Great Path. It slashed at the purple gold arms bowl in the little monk Fan Shou's hand, causing it to shake. Sword marks were left on it. Little Ji Yu, I haven't seen you for a long time. You've grown stronger. The little monk Fan Shou said with a smile. The purple gold arms bowl buzzed and blocked all the chaotic sword lights that were slashing at him. The power of Buddha was vast and mighty, and lines of Buddha patterns appeared on Fan Shou's body, making him look like a Buddha from the 9 heavens. Of course, with his current cultivation, he was actually no different from a real Buddha. It's impolite not to reciprocate. Try my Buddhist sword, the little monk Fan Shou said loudly. Little monk Fan Shou shouted. He shook the purple gold arms bowl in his hand and 9 rays of Buddhist light and sword chi immediately rushed out from it and rushed toward Ji Yufei. Ji Yufei's face was solemn. He waved both his fists and directly smashed the Buddhist light and sword chi. He charged at the little monk Fan Shou with incomparable strength. Eat my fist. Ji Yufei directly punched the strongest fist. The power of chaos that surpassed the great saint level erupted from his fist. The entire starry sky was shaking. Stars fell from the sky and then exploded. This scene was extremely shocking. Very good. One move to decide the winner. The little monk Fan Shou also put away his smile. A Buddha shadow emerged from his body and sat cross-legged in the void. There was a Sanskrit sound lingering in the void. Rumble. The Buddha shadow made a move. The powerful Buddhist power was mighty. Ji Yufei's fist of chaos collided with the Buddha's hand. A monstrous wave of power erupted. The void was annihilated and directly turned into chaos. The Buddha shadow sitting cross-legged in the void dissipated. The little monk Fan Xiu was sent flying. Ji Fei did not feel good either. The powerful Buddhist power shook his blood and qi. His body flew thousands of feet away involuntarily before he stabilized his body. Ji Fei, I'll stop playing here for today. I'll play with you next time. The little monk Fan Xiu said and directly broke the void. He stepped in and escaped without hesitation. Damn it. Chapter 2638. Even if Ji Fei made a move, it would still be difficult for him to stop the little monk Fan Xiu. The battle in the depths of the starry sky had ended. Everyone was shocked. Many people had a new understanding of Ji Fei. Many people knew that Ji Fei would soon become a revered martial artist. No one had been able to enter the realm of revered martial artist ever since the Chaos era was broken. Ji Fei was definitely the first one to enter this realm after the Chaos era was broken. As the battle ended, the experts who came to watch the battle gradually dispersed. Ji Fei also returned to the Soaring Dragon Ancestral Star and returned to the East region. The appearance of the little monk Fan Xiu made Ji Fei feel great pressure. West Earth Buddhism was finally going to take action. This was not a small matter. One should know that this was a sect founded by the Millennium Buddha Lord. It was an ancient inheritance. The depth of its foundation was absolutely unimaginable to outsiders. The Millennium Buddha Lord was definitely a different kind of revered martial artist because he did not only refine a supreme Buddhist weapon. No one knew how many Buddhist weapons he had refined. The power of the supreme Buddhist weapon was undeniable. Some people said that there should be supreme Buddhist weapons left by the Millennium Buddha Lord in West Earth Buddhism. Otherwise, West Earth Buddhism would have been razed to the ground after so many years. Ji Fei and the others returned to Wanxiang City. Master, that little monk Fan Xiu, in the main hall of the City Lord Mansion, Ji Zhong said to Ji Fei after everyone sat down. He was very worried about the little monk Fan Xiu. That guy's cultivation was too strong. Don't worry, he can't do anything to me. When you guys meet that guy, don't try to be brave, understand? Ji Fei looked at everyone and said, yes. Everyone nodded and said, all of you can leave. Ji Fei waved his hand and said. Everyone quickly stood up, bowed to Ji Fei, and left the room. Father. Just as everyone left the main hall, Ji Ling ran in from outside. Father, I heard that you fought with that little monk Fan Xiu, right? What was the result? Guling came to Ji Fei's side and shook Ji Fei's arm. You sure are well informed. Weren't you in the godly land trying to catch the immortal herb? Why did you come out? Ji Fei smiled and said. Father, don't change the topic. Tell me, who is stronger between you and that little monk? Ji Ling said relentlessly. Haha, could it be that you have no confidence in your father? Ji Fei said. What do you mean? Father, did you really defeat that little monk? Ji Ling said happily. All right, Ling stop pestering your father. At this moment, a figure silently appeared in the hall. It was a woman in white, smiling at the father and daughter in front of her. Mother, why are you out too? As soon as Ji Ling saw the woman in white, she immediately rushed over and dove into her arms. I'm going out for a while. That little monk Fan Xiu should still be in the East region. You guys have to be careful. After saying a few words, Ji Fei directly disappeared in front of Yang and her daughter. Father, Ji Ling wanted to follow, but Ji Fei had already left. Deep in the Sky Market, near the ancient road to heaven, everyone was watching and waiting for the big shots to make a move. Only those big shots could eliminate the unknown living beings at the end of the ancient road to heaven. Someone wanted to ask the Eastern Sky Tyrant of the Dongfang clan to make a move. However, the Eastern Sky Tyrant's identity was extraordinary. Even some ancient sages were not qualified to meet this ancient existence. Someone wanted to ask Ji Fei to make a move, but Ji Fei had just fought with the little monk Fan Xiu. It was likely that he would not be making a move in the near future. On a sunset that was as red as blood, an expert of the immortal Tao who was shrouded in immortal qi flew over from afar on an immortal crane. Immortal chi instantly filled every inch of the void between heaven and earth. The experts near the ancient road to heaven were alarmed. The immortal chi was vast and mighty. Immortal light shone in front of the ancient road to heaven. There seemed to be an immortal melody lingering in the void. Immortal venerable. The silhouette of an ancient sage appeared in the distant sky. It was a white-haired young man. He looked very young, but that was only his appearance. In the world of cultivation, appearance was the most untrustworthy thing. After all, those who were successful in cultivation could change their appearance at will. The white-haired young man riding the crane was like an immortal descending from the 9 heavens. The great Tao of heaven and earth resonated with him. Could it be him? An ancient sage seemed to have recognized the white-robed young man. The road has appeared again. Someone heard a sigh. That crane is actually a powerful existence at the Saint Emperor level. An ancient sage was indescribably shocked. The crane beneath the white-robed young man was actually a Saint Emperor. This was truly unbelievable. That was a Saint Emperor. Crane, let's go in and have a look. The crane under the white-haired young man's feet let out a loud cry and carried the white-haired young man towards the ancient road to heaven. One man and one crane, they actually stepped on the ancient road to heaven. Everyone who witnessed this scene was very surprised. Very quickly, a furious roar resounded from the ancient road to heaven. Everyone was incomparably nervous. Everyone wanted to know what was happening on the ancient road to heaven. Swish. An ancient sage rushed over and directly stepped onto the ancient road to heaven. Coincidentally, someone was fighting with an unknown existence at the end of the ancient road to heaven. This was an opportunity to enter the heaven realm. Many people felt that this was an opportunity, but not everyone was willing to take the risk. Another 3 ancient sages rushed onto the ancient road to heaven. The roar from the ancient road to heaven shook the heavens and earth. The entire ancient road shook violently. A terrifying aura spread out from the ancient road. Cracks appeared on the ancient road, which was built with unknown divine materials, as if it would collapse at any time. The white-haired young man was incomparably powerful. A powerful immortal Tao aura spread out from the ancient road to heaven. Very quickly, a rain of blood fell from the ancient road to heaven. That was saint blood, containing a powerful saint Tao aura. When the saint blood fell on the ancient road, the energy contained in the saint blood was immediately absorbed by the ancient road to heaven. Rumble. The ancient road was shaking. Unknown runes were faintly discernible on the ancient road. An ancient sage has fallen, someone sighed. The 4 ancient sages wanted to enter the heaven realm while the white-robed young man was fighting with the unknown existence at the end of the ancient road. However, things did not seem to be that simple. At this moment, a terrifying aura spread out from the depths of the western underworld sea of the heaven realm. The entire western underworld sea was surging violently, creating towering waves. Rumble, bolts of blood-red lightning suddenly appeared in the sky, and the deafening sound of thunder caused the entire void to become unstable. Following that, a rain of blood fell from the sky. Terrifying roars of beasts rang out, as if a supreme existence had been startled. Boundless blood-colored light rushed out from the western underworld sea, enveloping the ancient road to heaven. Within the blood-colored light, a terrifying figure could be faintly seen. No one knew what it was. What's going on? Outside the western underworld sea, the experts of the heaven realm were incomparably shocked. Some used their heavenly eyes to see what was happening around the ancient road to heaven. They also saw the figures of those terrifying puppets. Is this the power of the devouring curse? Someone said. The western underworld sea might be a place of the devouring curse. The changes in this forbidden area caused people's hearts to palpitate. A rain of blood fell from the sky. This was definitely an ominous sign. Boom. While the experts of the heaven realm were still in shock, a loud explosion rang out, shaking the entire western underworld sea. A ray of immortal light actually broke through the seal of the blood-colored light, rushing out from the ancient road to heaven. Witnessing this scene, even the magnates of the heaven realm were shocked. One should know that this was a forbidden area that had existed for countless years. No one had ever been able to destroy it, not even the supremes of the ancient times. There was a great secret in the forbidden area. This was something everyone knew. However, no one knew exactly what the secret was. The immortal light that broke through the seal of the blood-colored light shot up to the sky. However, a figure could be faintly seen within the immortal light. It was an expert of the immortal Tao riding on an immortal crane. So powerful, could it be that he is a supreme existence from the lower realm? An expert of the heaven realm said with a trembling voice. The situation in the human realm was much more complicated than the heaven realm. To the heaven realm's humans, the human realm was their ancestral land. In the past, there were no humans in the heaven realm. When someone became a supremes in the human realm and opened the path to heaven, human cultivators began to appear in the heaven realm. The heaven realm's humans were in awe of this ancestral land. One should know that the human realm had given birth to many supremes. The wilderness was originally the cradle of experts. However, after the wilderness was destroyed, the human realm underwent a huge change. The path to heaven was also severed. The human race had been multiplying in the heaven realm for countless years. They took root and sprouted. Gradually, they became the main characters of the heaven realm. However, the heaven realm was boundless. There were some terrifying forbidden areas. These places were extremely dangerous. Those who entered would most likely die in there. Those who could walk out of those places alive were definitely not many. Now, the ancient path to heaven appeared in the depths of the forbidden area. This made everyone puzzled. Why would the ancient path to heaven appear in such a place? Wasn't this a trap? At this time, a blood-colored figure stood up from the western underworld sea. He stretched out his hand and grabbed the man and the crane in the immortal light. In the midst of the blood rain, the figure was blurry. No one could see his face clearly. The blood-red hand directly broke the immortal light, grabbed the man and the crane in the immortal light, and then annihilated them. A muffled groan resounded from the ancient path to heaven. A white-haired youth stood on an immortal crane. The figure in the immortal light was only an incarnation of an immortal spirit. It was not the true body of the white-haired youth and the crane. Even if it was an incarnation, it was destroyed. The white-haired youth also suffered a great impact. Chapter 2639. An immortal cultivator so powerful that even the ancient saints felt their hearts palpitating appeared, and he directly stepped onto the ancient road to heaven. This attracted the attention of all the experts who were paying attention to the ancient road to heaven. A great battle erupted. The entire ancient heaven ascension road shook intensely. A powerful immortal aura spread out from the ancient road. That immortal cultivator was incomparably powerful, fighting against the unknown life form at the end of the ancient heaven ascension road. There were also 4 other ancient saints who stepped on the ancient road to heaven. They wanted to take the opportunity to enter the heaven world while the immortal cultivator was fighting with those unknown living beings. However, the outcome of these 4 ancient saints was very miserable. They were directly killed by the terrifying lifeforms at the end of the ancient road to heaven. Their corporeal bodies turned into a rain of blood that rained down on the ancient road to heaven. The immortal cultivator on the crane was fighting against the unknown lifeforms. Outside the ancient road to heaven, everyone was incomparably nervous. They naturally hoped that the immortal cultivator could defeat the unknown lifeforms. However, an hour later, the ancient road to heaven gradually calmed down. Very soon, the young immortal cultivator on the crane walked out from the ancient road to heaven. Everyone thought that this immortal Tao expert had fallen on the ancient road to heaven, but this young man actually walked out of the ancient road to heaven alive. Although both the man and the crane were covered in blood, the crane under the young man's feet only had one wing left. The right wing was missing, torn off by the unknown lifeforms. There were 3 claw marks on the young man's chest, each of them so deep that the bones could be seen. He actually made it back alive. After a brief moment of silence, all the cultivators gathered around the ancient road to heaven were incomparably excited. This was the first time someone walked out of the ancient road to heaven alive after the reappearance of the road. This was definitely a major event that could shake the entire ancestral Dragon Stars cultivation world. Before this, not a single ancient saint who stepped on the ancient road to heaven could walk out alive. The young man did not say anything. He directly crossed the void with the crane and disappeared between heaven and earth. No one knew where he went. He left just like that. Everyone couldn't help being dumbfounded when they saw this scene. Many people still wanted to ask about the situation on the ancient road to heaven from the young man. Who is that person? Jiu Fei entered the sky market once again and arrived in front of the ancient road to heaven. He just happened to see the young expert walking out of the ancient road to heaven and directly disappeared into the void. Listening to the cultivators whispering about the young man and the crane, Jiu Fei found out that the young man and the crane did not die on the ancient road to heaven. They fought with the unknown living beings on the ancient road and walked out alive. Jiu Fei thought about it and took a step forward. In an instant, he arrived before the ancient road to heavens. Without hesitation, he stepped onto the ancient road. Are my eyes playing tricks on me? Who was that just now? Someone exclaimed. It's Jiu Fei. He actually stepped onto this ancient path. Someone recognized Jiu Fei. What? The news spread, shocking everyone. No one would have thought that Jiu Fei would step onto the ancient road leading to the heaven realm at this time. Jiu Fei's silhouette disappeared from the ancient road to heaven. The instant he stepped onto the ancient road, he felt that something was wrong. In front of the ancient road, there was a chilling aura that made his heart palpitate. Other than the young expert who just walked out of the ancient road to heaven, no one knew what kind of terrifying creature was waiting at the end of the ancient road to heaven. Jiu Fei did not hesitate and directly walked forward. He followed the steps on the ancient road and ascended into the sky. After walking for a while, he saw that the ancient road was stained with blood. Some broken pieces of flesh and bones were scattered on the ancient road. These pieces of flesh and bones were still emitting a powerful saint chi. Obviously, these were the flesh and bones of a saint. An incomparably powerful saint had fallen here, his body and spirit destroyed. This caused Jiu Fei's heart to shiver. The ancient road to heaven was filled with great danger. Jiu Fei had no choice but to be careful. A layer of chaotic qi emerged from his body and he continued to walk forward. This ancient road to heaven seemed endless. Jiu Fei walked for more than an hour, but he still couldn't see the end. Along the way, he saw many pieces of divine tools scattered on the ground. These pieces of divine tools had completely lost their spirituality, turning into scrap metal. At this moment, Jiu Fei suddenly stopped. He sensed that there was a blood mist in front of him. The blood mist did not disperse, and within the blood mist, there was a figure standing silently. He could not sense any life aura from the figure. Obviously, it was a lifeless existence. While Jiu Fei was hesitating, the figure in the blood mist suddenly moved, silently drifting towards Jiu Fei at an extremely fast speed. Jiu Fei extended his right hand and sent a palm strike forward. The powerful palm force directly dispersed the vast and mighty blood-colored mist. Bam! The figure also threw a punch, and the two fists instantly collided with each other, causing a muffled sound. With the two fists as the center, a circle of transparent ripples spread out. Jiu Fei only felt a surge of death energy coming from the other party's fist. The sleeve on his right arm was instantly corroded by the death energy and dissipated in the air. Jiu Fei was very surprised. He didn't expect the death energy in this dead thing to be so powerful. He hurriedly shook his right arm, causing an even more powerful energy to erupt from his arm, dispersing the death energy. With a powerful burst of energy, Jiu Fei's arm shook, sending the dead creature flying away. There's actually such an existence on the ancient road to heaven. Jiu Fei muttered. One should know that this was a dead creature that could endlessly fight against those who stepped on the ancient road to heaven. It even had the ability to kill existences at the saint realm and above. Roar. A terrifying roar rang out as a rain of blood fell from the sky. A terrifying silhouette could be faintly seen amidst the blood rain. It was incomparably bizarre. Seeing this scene, Jiu Fei couldn't help but shiver. This dead creature was incomparably powerful. It was no wonder that even ancient saints fell on the ancient road to heaven. Jiu Fei didn't say anything. He directly took a step forward and rushed into the blood rain, punching towards the silhouette within the blood rain. Bzzz. The void trembled. With just a single punch, Jiu Fei dispersed the blood rain and sent the dead creature flying once again. Jiu Fei dashed past the dead creature and continued forward without turning his head back, disappearing into the dark void. Boom! After Jiu Fei left, the dead creature suddenly exploded, turning into a black blood mist that dissipated into the void. A powerful dead spirit that was powerful enough to kill a sage was beaten into a bloody mist by Jiu Fei just like that. Both its body and soul were destroyed. As Jiu Fei advanced, he pushed his way forward. Terrifying and powerful undead spirits were constantly killed by him. The closer he got to the heaven realm, the stronger the undead spirits he encountered. When Jiu Fei sensed the aura of the heavenly realm, a blood-colored human-shaped skeleton appeared in front of him. Within the skull, there was a ball of blood-colored light emitting resplendent blood-colored radiance. Sensing the mighty aura of the blood-colored skeleton, Jiu Fei couldn't help but be shocked. This blood-colored skeleton was not simple, it was at least a great saint realm existence, maybe even stronger. This was a powerful opponent. Without any superfluous words, Jiu Fei and the blood-colored skeleton began to fight. Jiu Fei's palm collided with the hand of the blood-colored skeleton from time to time, making a sonorous sound. Two figures moved quickly on the ancient road to heaven. Finally, Jiu Fei chopped off the head of the blood-colored skeleton with a hand blade, and then smashed the skull with a punch. The blood-colored soul fire in the skull was directly dispersed. Roar! A terrifying roar came from the opposite side of the ancient road to heaven. Jiu Fei killed the blood-colored skeleton, which seemed to make the mysterious existence at the end of the ancient road to heaven furious. Jiu Fei didn't care so much and directly rushed forward. Soon, he successfully came to the end of the ancient road to heaven. There was a platform, a blood-colored platform, only about a few 100 feet in radius. On the platform, there were bloodstains, and the flesh and blood of saint-level powerhouses were scattered everywhere. At this time, on the blood-colored platform, there were blood-colored figures standing. The entire exit of the ancient road to heaven was shrouded by a blood-colored force. Seeing this scene, Jiu Fei was somewhat in disbelief. This was the heaven realm, but it was not a good place. An incomparably terrifying death aura shrouded the sky above the heaven and earth. What is this place? Jiu Fei walked out of the ancient road to heaven. Swoosh! At the moment when Jiu Fei walked out, the blood-colored figures standing on the blood-colored platform moved. A blood-colored figure instantly pounced towards Jiu Fei. A strong smell of blood immediately rushed into Jiu Fei's nose, which made him extremely shocked. Jiu Fei moved his feet and instantly dodged. However, the blood-colored figure was like a shadow, chasing after him at an extremely fast speed. Buzz! Jiu Fei raised his hand, and a chaotic sword light immediately rushed out from his hand and slashed at the blood-colored figure. However, a scene that shocked Jiu Fei happened. The chaotic sword light that he struck out actually passed through the blood-colored figure, as if it was slashing at the air, without any point of impact. What? Jiu Fei couldn't help but be shocked. This blood-colored figure was extremely strange, even the chaotic sword chi could not destroy it. The blood-colored figure pounced towards him, and Jiu Fei had no choice but to retreat again. If this blood-colored figure pounced on him, the consequences would be unimaginable. He would not let this blood-colored figure get close to him. Preposterous! At this time, Jiu Fei realized that the blood-colored figures on the platform had all surrounded him. Chapter 2640. The strange blood shadows were extremely evil. Jiu Fei could not sense any life aura from these blood shadows. When the blood shadows were motionless, no one could sense their existence. However, once these blood shadows moved, they set off a monstrous bloodlight, and a strong smell of blood filled every inch of the void. A blood shadow directly pounced towards Jiu Fei. Jiu Fei opened his mouth and spat out a mouthful of chaos divine fire towards this blood shadow. The crimson figure plunged into the chaos divine fire and instantly turned into a gust of black gas that dissipated in the void. A blood-colored Dao pattern crumbled. Remnant Great Path Laws. Jiu Fei saw this scene and was very shocked. These blood shadows were actually condensed from the remnant Great Path Laws. Who left these Great Path Laws? He knew that after those supreme existences fell, the remnant great path laws were very likely to not be extinguished. Even after the baptism of countless years, they still had unimaginable destructive power. Just like these extremely evil blood shadows, the remnant great path laws were very terrifying, and could even kill ancient saints. Even the white-haired youth was forced back, and it was difficult for him to enter the heaven realm. At this time, on the blood-colored platform outside the exit of the ancient road to heaven, the blood shadows all moved, and all of them pounced towards Gu Fei. The monstrous bloodlight illuminated the dark sky and earth. "Then I'll play with you." The corner of Gu Fei's lips curled up into a smile. Then, he charged forward. His entire body was shrouded in chaos divine fire. With a punch, a large amount of chaos divine fire rushed out from his fist. More than a dozen blood shadows that fiercely pounced over immediately turned into black gas, dissipating in the void. The blood-colored runes were destroyed by the chaos divine fire. The chaos divine fire was the nemesis of these blood shadows. Gu Fei seemed to have turned into a chaos fire god, rushing into a group of blood demons and starting a massacre. Rumble, the entire blood-colored platform shook, and a powerful saint aura that surpassed the great saint realm spread out from the blood-colored platform. That is, everyone on the outskirts of the Sea of the West Underworld noticed the changes in the depths of the Sea of the West Underworld. A powerful aura of the divine path erupted from the depths of the Sea of the West Underworld. At the exit of the ancient road to heaven, blood-colored light shot up into the sky. Saints were attacking the seal of the West Underworld Sea. Why do I sense a familiar aura? A fair-skinned and chubby young man wearing a daoist robe stood in the air above an island on the outskirts of the West Nether Sea. He stared at the bloody light in front of him and fell into deep thought. This saint from the human realm seems to be even stronger than the immortal Dao expert from before. Someone said something like that. At this moment, on the blood-colored platform, Gu Fei dispersed the last blood shadow with a punch and stood proudly on the blood-colored platform. At this moment, he noticed that the blood-red platform was covered in bloodstains. The bloodstains had not dried up and were still emitting a strong smell of blood. Gu Fei activated his martial path heavenly eye and immediately saw the origin of the bloodstains on the ground. Within the bloodstains, there were incomplete blood-colored runes. These incomplete blood-colored runes seemed to be of the same origin as the runes of the blood shadows that he had destroyed. This made him feel somewhat uneasy. As expected, what he was worried about happened. The bloodstains on the ground began to emit rays of blood-red light. The blood-red shadows that had been destroyed by Gu Fei once again appeared within the blood-red light. The reappearance of the blood shadows caused Gu Fei's heart to tremble. The bloodstains on the ground were most likely the true blood left behind by a sovereign. Otherwise, why would there be such a change? Boom! Gu Fei attacked again. Chaotic divine fire rushed out of his body and directly burned the blood shadows that were closest to him into black smoke. Without any suspense, the countless blood shadows were once again destroyed by Gu Fei. However, he knew that as long as the bloodstains on the ground still existed, these blood shadows would continue to reappear and would never disappear. Moreover, every blood shadow had the battle strength of a sage. Even a saint venerable would have a headache dealing with them because these blood shadows were indestructible. Gu Fei waved his hand and a chaotic divine fire immediately rushed out of his hand and burned the strange bloodstains on the ground. What surprised Gu Fei was that the bloodstains on the ground emitted an even stronger blood-colored light after being burned by the chaotic divine fire. Swoosh! A blood shadow suddenly appeared on the platform. The runes in the mysterious bloodstains seemed to have been stimulated to an even greater power. Above the blood shadow, 2 rays of blood-colored light rushed out. Those were the eyes of the blood shadow. This blood shadow seemed to be different from the blood shadows that Gu Fei had destroyed previously. This made Gu Fei feel a great pressure as if he was facing a terrifying bloodthirsty demon. There is no demonic nature. This is not the blood of a true demon. But why is it so evil? Gu Fei murmured to himself. All of this was incomprehensible. A great battle broke out. Gu Fei and the blood shadow began to fight. The terrifying power rippled in all directions, setting off huge waves in the entire West Border Sea. Roar! A terrifying roar came from the depths of the west border sea. Lightning flashed in the sky, tearing the dusky sky and earth apart. A strange bloody rain fell from the sky. Huge waves rolled and raged on the shore. All the Heaven Realm experts in the outer area of the west border sea were incomparably shocked. This saint venerable from the lower realm was really strong. He actually persisted for so long. Ever since the ancient road to heaven appeared again, this was the first time someone persisted for so long. What's going on? This aura, in the sky above an island in the outer area of the west border sea, the fat man in the Taoist robe frowned. He seemed to have seen this aura before, but he could not recall what it was. Could it be him? At this time, in another direction of the outer area of the west border sea, a chariot stopped high in the sky. The divine beast pulling the chariot was roaring, and the entire chariot was enveloped in a divine light of the immortal Tao. A tall figure stood on the chariot. This was an immortal Tao expert who seemed to be one with the great Tao of heaven and earth. He resonated with the heavenly Tao, and there was a faint celestial sound coming from his body. This person was the overlord of the eastern region of the Heaven Realm, the primordial celestial emperor. The primordial celestial emperor was a mysterious and unfathomable existence. He was said to have billions of clones, and no one knew which one was real. No one had ever seen his true body. Back in the chaotic world, the old turtle had only slain one of his clones. This primordial celestial emperor was most likely another clone. However, even a clone could have such an aura. It was unbelievable. Swoosh. The primordial celestial emperor suddenly waved his hand, and a flying sword light immediately rushed out from his hand, breaking through the dusky sky and into the depths of the west border sea. This is, on the platform at the exit of the ancient road to heaven, Jiyu Fei, who was fighting against the crimson figure, suddenly sensed something. At this moment, a sword light broke through the bloody clouds in the sky and slashed towards him. Buzz. At that moment, a layer of blood-red light appeared on the blood-red platform, blocking the flying immortal swordlight that was descending from the sky. The swordlight was wrapped up by the layer of bloody light and dissipated. The powerful immortal Tao energy contained in the swordlight was devoured by the layer of bloody light. Primordial Celestial Emperor. Jiyu Fei's eyes lit up the moment he saw the swordlight appear. In the Heaven Realm, there was only one person who had cultivated the flying immortal sword, and that was the overlord of the eastern region, the primordial celestial emperor. Boom. Distracted, Jiyu Fei was immediately pushed back by the illusory figure's palm. Several rays of bloody light immediately wrapped around him, and he immediately felt that they were devouring his essence. Roar. Jiyu Fei roared in anger. His body shook, and the rays of bloody light wrapped around him were immediately dispersed. A layer of chaotic aura emerged from his body, pulsating like a divine fire. Without hesitation, he directly used the returning to truth secret technique, wanting to devour his own essence chi. Let's see who can devour who. Once the returning truth secret technique was unleashed, everything returned to its true form. The extremely evil blood-colored energy was immediately turned into the most primitive spiritual energy by the returning truth secret technique. Then, it was directly devoured by Jiyu Fei's martial body. The evil figure was enveloped by the secret art of returning truth and immediately became dim, as if it could dissipate in the void at any time. At this moment, all the blood on the blood-colored platform emitted a strange bloody light. The blood moved and actually converged. A power that made Jiyu Fei's heart palpitate rapidly condensed. Jiyu Fei sighed. He knew that it was difficult for him to use his own strength to break through the restrictions here and enter the Heaven Realm. He also didn't want to use the extreme divine weapon, so he could only retreat. Bang! He rushed over and directly dispersed the bloody figure that was enveloped by the secret art of returning truth. Then, with a flash, he appeared in front of the exit of the ancient road to heaven. Yuan Jiyu just you wait. I, Jiyu Fei, will definitely come back to kill you. Jiyu Fei said loudly. His voice spread far from the ancient road to heaven and directly out of the West Ming Sea. What, outside the West Ming Sea, the fat man in the sky above the island heard this voice. His body trembled and he almost fell from the sky. His heart was greatly shaken, and then he became extremely excited. It's Grandmaster. Fatty hurriedly took out a jade talisman from his body and directly sealed a trace of his spiritual will into the jade talisman. Then, he crushed the jade talisman. Swoosh! A ray of divine light immediately rushed out from the broken jade talisman, broke through the void, and instantly disappeared. This was a communication jade talisman. It could travel millions of miles in an instant. Far away in the ancestral court of the demon race, an existence suddenly opened his eyes. Then, the void in front of him suddenly shattered, and a divine light rushed out. He grabbed it in his hand. Gu Fei, that kid has appeared. The person stood up abruptly and his eyes immediately lit up. Chapter 2641. The words that Gu Fei said before he retreated spread to the western underworld sea, shocking some powerhouses. One should know that Gu Fei had caused quite a commotion in the heaven realm in the past. Even the only son of the Yuan ancient realm was killed by him. Gu Fei and Yuan Jiyu had a great enmity. He was once chased by the Yuan ancient heavenly emperor to the ends of the earth. In the end, he had no choice but to hide in a dangerous place. On this day, a long howl was heard from the ancestral court of the demon race in the heaven realm. An extremely terrifying aura spread out from the ancestral court. What is this kid doing? On a spiritual mountain in the ancestral court of the demon race, there was a big rock protruding from the cliff. At this moment, an old man was sitting on the big rock. The old man held a big gourd in his hand and looked in the direction where the sound came from. In the entire demon race in the heaven realm, only this old man dared to call the person who made the howl a kid. The howl was still lingering in the sky. At this moment, a figure directly rushed out from the ancestral court and appeared beside the old man at an extremely fast speed. Old man, you really can keep your composure. The ancient road to heaven has appeared, aren't you going to join in the fun? This was a middle-aged man dressed in purple. He was tall and had a dignified appearance. However, the corners of his eyes and the tips of his brows carried a hint of slyness. This person was the Tai Huang's son, the old tortoise, who had returned to the heaven realm from the chaotic world. TSK, what does the ancient road to heaven have to do with me? The old man said nonchalantly. The ancient road to heaven has appeared. The heaven realm is connected to the human realm. A great chaos is about to occur. I don't believe that you can still sit still. The old tortoise said disapprovingly. His uncle was pretending to be indifferent, but he knew that his uncle was more nervous than anyone else. This was because the old man had experienced the darkest era. Even the Tai Huang had disappeared. He also narrowly escaped death. Although he survived in the end, everyone around him died. After experiencing so many life and death situations, the old man seemed to have seen through everything. However, when he thought of the great calamity, he still felt uneasy in the depths of his heart. If the previous calamity was a reincarnation that represented the end of an era, then the upcoming calamity would be the end of this era. The old man had a premonition that this calamity would affect the heaven realm. The heaven realm would also be in chaos, and it might even follow in the footsteps of the great desolate world. Back then, the old man was sent to the heavenly realm by the Grand Emperor with his supreme power. That was how he was lucky enough to avoid the calamity of the primordial era. My brother, Gu Fei, has appeared. I'm going to the western underworld sea to take a look. The old turtle looked at the setting sun in the west, and his gaze became deep. This great calamity had affected a wide area. He had a premonition that some unexpected variables might appear in this life. That kid is not bad, go ahead. The old man nodded. I'm going. A smirk appeared on old tortoise's face, and he disappeared from the boulder. At this time, in the celestial palace in the sky above the celestial city of the eastern region, a figure shrouded in immortal light was sitting on the throne in the middle of the main hall. Gu Fei, the Yuan ancient celestial the Arch, held a message immortal talisman in his hand. His eyes lit up like cold stars as he crushed the jade talisman in his hand with a snap. The eastern region heavenly ruler had countless incarnations, so no one knew whether the one in the celestial palace was the real one. Gu Fei's words made the eastern region heavenly ruler Yuan Jiyu feel a great deal of pressure. The kid from back then had definitely grown up. At this time, in the depths of the sky market in the human realm, an ancient road was faintly discernible. Primordial chaos chi lingered around the ancient road, giving off an incomparably oppressive feeling. The ancient road was stained with blood. It was all the blood of a saint. The war has ended. Could it be that even Jiu Fei has fallen on the ancient road? When the experts of the Dongfang family thought of this, they were both surprised and overjoyed. If Jiu Fei died on the ancient road, it would be the best outcome for the Dongfang family. However, that was Jiu Fei. How could he have fallen so easily? At this time, everyone was staring at the exit of the ancient road nervously. Some people hoped that Jiu Fei would fight his way out of the ancient road. That way, the threat on the ancient road would be eliminated. However, those who had enmity with Jiu Fei could not wait for Jiu Fei to die on the ancient road. At this time, a figure finally appeared on the ancient road, walking down step by step. Who else could this person be other than Jiu Fei? Seeing Jiu Fei coming down from the ancient road to heaven, the spectating experts all had different expressions on their faces. At this time, Jiu Zhong and the Iron Blood Daoist had already received the news and rushed over from the Wanxiang city. When they saw Jiu Fei walking down the ancient road, they were overjoyed. One should know that Jiu Fei was their backbone. Nothing must happen to him. How lively. After coming down from the ancient road, Jiu Fei looked around and saw many familiar faces. There were a few saint experts from the Dongfang family, such as Dongfang Efeng and Dongfang Xian. They were standing in the sky and looking at him. Seeing Jiu Fei looking at them, Dongfang Efeng and the others were startled and quickly left. Jiu Fei did not attack Dongfang Efeng and the others. He had made a promise to that person, so he had to keep it. Furthermore, when Hierarch Southern Heaven betrayed him, the Dongfang family did not kick him when he was down. Come, let's go back. Jiu Fei waved at Jiu Zhong and the Iron Blood Daoist, then left the heavenly market. Jiu Zhong and the Iron Blood Daoist were extremely excited and quickly left the heavenly market. Jiu Fei was able to walk out of the ancient road alive. This was definitely a big deal. Before Jiu Fei, only the white-haired immortal who rode on the crane was able to fight on the ancient road to heaven and not fall on the ancient road, and walked out alive. Moreover, when the white-haired immortal on the crane fought on the ancient heaven ascension road, even though he came back alive, he was heavily injured. Jiu Fei, on the other hand, was completely unharmed. In other words, Jiu Fei was much stronger than the white-haired immortal on the crane. After Jiu Fei left, those experts who were watching from the vicinity of the ancient road to heaven also retreated. Even Jiu Fei couldn't enter the heaven world, let alone them. Following the departure of the group of experts, the vicinity of the ancient road to heaven immediately became deserted again. Of course, these experts would not go far. The ancient road became quiet again. Everyone wanted to know what dangers lay at the end of the ancient road to heaven, and only Jiu Fei could return alive from the ancient road to heaven.